Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the NLG show. It is Thursday night, and we are back for another live session. And
This is not a retro show.
it's
Even though
not.
look
Even
who's there.
I know. Even though we've got a guest from the past.
Yeah.
It's Frankie. Of course, you can't recognize him because he has no facial hair. But there he is. How you doing, brother man?
I'm doing.
It's been a long time.
It has. Work's finally slowing back down after the holiday season. So now a little more regularity in the schedule. So I'm not like coming home and just passing out on the couch.
Very nice.
So I was up last week, stayed up, watched that fantastic interview you guys had with Tommy Tallarico. Yes. Now I have to get in one of those in television. So thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Anytime.
I got my eye on that red one though. That's a nice looking box.
That's all you. I'm Founders Edition.
I want the Founders Edition in a different color.
Is that the wooden one?
Yes, it's the wooden one.
I want the perks.
I know. I want that $50 coin. That's what I want. So,
yeah.
So it's
and the
great.
patch and stuff, all the good stuff.
Oh my goodness, yes. So it's great to have you on, Frankie. It has been, like I said, too long, and we're glad to have you.
It's good to be back.
Yeah.
And then this guy over here.
I know. Over to your left, my right. It's John. John.
I'm having Skype issues. I can't see anybody, but I'm here.
You still can't see anybody?
No, you just keep going. I'll figure it out.
What? You said you saw the 10.
I did, Frankie. I saw the beardless Frankie. I saw Peter, and then now I've seen nothing.
He's seen it all. He's good. He's good.
All right. Well, if you see, so is anything on your screen at all?
Yes, it says something share screen, and there's a monitor in the middle of my screen.
Hold on. Click the X in the upper left corner.
Oh, thank God.
All right, we're good.
Welcome to Skype 101.
We change it all the time.
Oh my goodness! So, De Niro in Siberia. Look, and Niall, who finally realized that hey, this guy's might be on. So I'm like, did your YouTube not actually notify you that we were starting? And he's like, no. So welcome, Niall. So and De Niro Primero are, you see the logo in the middle of the screen. That's thanks to him. And, of course, the logo in the upper left-hand corner you see is thanks to Graphic God Jay. Crispy Bomb just joined us, too. What's up, Crispy? So, I never get a chance to do this or don't think about it. And I want to do it tonight. People are going to be coming in, and hopefully we're coming in from last week's Tommy Tallarico show and checking us out for a regular show. So I want to introduce the other regular members of the crew. So next to me, my man, he's in the game. He's always in the game. One of the stalwarts of Next Level Gaming. Been with me for 4 years now. Peter Hutig, HTK 360. What's up, brother?
What's going on? It's Thursday. We're talking games. We're playing games. I'll do it one more.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds about right to me. So. The middle logo is not mine, but I did revamp. Hold on. Well, hang on a second. I will find the revamped version of the logo. I thought that was the one you gave me, but hold on. Oh, you know what? He's right. He's right. The one that better one. Here's the Kaboom. That's the updated one. So,
there we go.
There we go.
See, we went retro right there.
Yes.
Now we're next game.
So, and then back after a 3-year absence, he's got the coolest shirt of all of us on tonight. So, Mr. John Place, Techno Fabulous himself, sporting the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt.
Yeah.
What's up, brother?
Cowabunga, guys.
Who's your favorite?
Donatello.
There you go.
Donatello.
I'm a Mikey guy, obviously.
All right.
So Vanessa,
I like both of them. What were you asking?
Nothing.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would have asked it already.
Okay.
Hey.
Started to say something. Jesus. All right. Well, now.
No. Let's get the show on the road.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, so not here yet. He's going to be joining us late, but his ass better get on here soon because part of the show is going to be him. Mr. Chris Williams, Fastback 6768. Once he does get on the show and jumped into the window there, we're going to have his PAX South report. He went to PAX South again this year. Met up with one of our other gaming brothers, Jeff Sincere from Gold Chain Gamers, and his lovely wife, who I got a chance to meet at Too Many Games this past year. And what a cool guy. Cool guy. Very friendly. Was very friendly to my son. We hung out not only at the show itself, but for the Epic Rap Battles of History concert. Which, by the way, if you guys have never seen an Epic Rap Battles of History video, oh my God, those are hilarious. Check them out. Anyway, so Chris will be with us soon. And like I said, as we introduced him earlier today, one of our NLG alumni and one of the co-founders of Short Pause Gaming, which we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, no,
that's
not a thing.
Oh, what happened? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been Ben and myself, but I don't think our schedules are going to align to a point where we're going to be able to get back to doing anything. So, whatever.
I'm sorry, man, but I mean, hey, it was we had some great times with you guys. I mean, I still on this channel is one of the funniest Halo 5 multiplayer videos I've ever been a part of, where somehow we got the band hammer before we even started playing. So
that was awesome.
That was fantastic. So well, it's good to have you on with us tonight. You're right. So it's good to have you on tonight, man.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to make this a more regular thing because now I don't have anywhere to go. So I'm a free agent again.
Hey,
wow.
Nice. So
I'm just gonna invite myself on here all the time now.
Let me scoop you.
I tell you, we're gonna end up having to wrap everybody around to the side here.
It's like the Brady Bunch,
right?
Yes, perfect.
It's great. I want to say a good evening to Super Cooper, our brother Super Cooper, and Mr. Hyperion. Everybody in the chat, welcome in. Z Black just joined in, so we're getting a little started here. So so I wanted to do a couple of quick house cleaning things first. First and foremost, if you guys had not seen last week, we did have Tommy Tallarico on. Tommy, as you know, is the CEO and president of Intellivision. He was here pimping the Intellivision Amico and actually got everybody in the podcast and in the chat room like excited as all get out for this console. Mm-hmm. It was such an amazing show. It was just short of 4 hours. So we won't do that tonight, I promise. But it was an epic show, and Tommy, it was such an unbelievably cool guy. Like the whole way through, there was just like this free flowing conversation, and it just felt like we could have gone all night if we wanted to. He warned us too. Yeah. So, but just such an epic night. And then later on that weekend, our brothers over at TXR, which is the Xbox Roundtable, had him on Sunday night. And I wanted to give them a shout out as well real quick, because they did something that goes to show you that there are great people that you can align yourself with, and you can be friends with online, and support, and you know who those good people are. So about 2 days after we had confirmed that Tommy was coming on our show, TXR had confirmed that that he was going to be on their show Sunday night. Well, they didn't announce that until Friday morning. And the reason that they didn't, because they could have announced it Tuesday, they could have announced it Wednesday. TXR waited until we did our show before they announced having him on, and they did that because they didn't want to take away the I guess the thunder of us having them on. So from the bottom of my heart, and I think I can speak for everyone who's part of NLG, I just want to say thank you to the guys at TXR. It was a huge thing, and it was something that they did not have to do. And they sacrificed 2 days of marketing Tommy on their show to allow us to have him on Thursday night, and not to take anything away from it. I won't forget that. And as far as I'm concerned, they are our brothers forever. So I just wanted to make sure everyone who listened to this show, make sure they go over and they check out TXR, subscribe to their podcast, subscribe to their channel. They're on Sunday nights at 9 o'clock. They got a hell of a panel led by Invader Gaming, who's a great friend of ours. Southbound is on that show, and Megatron's on that show, and Tim Dog's on that show, and I know there's one I'm forgetting. Jeremy Downer's on that show, and Jeremy and I go back a while. It's a fantastic show. They did a great job with interviewing Tommy Tallarico. Their show was a bit more of an interview style, and they got some fantastic information. We got to see the back of the console, and they got to see the kind of the semi-finished controller product. So each of us got some really great exclusive information. So check them out. And, of course, go back if you haven't seen it already and check out our show. There's a ton of great information, and I guarantee you by the time you're done, you're going to want an Intellivision Amico like we do. So I just wanted to get that out of the way, because that was something that's been – we see so much nonsense and garbage on Twitter and in social media, and some of these other shows out there that don't do the positive work that we do. And it was just it hit me that a fellow bunch of gamers did that for us, and I've been holding on to that like all week. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. All right. So, what have you guys been up to in the world of gaming? I mean, I tell you, I got back into Forza Horizon this week, and I forgot how much of an incredible game that is. Good grief. I'm now qualified for Horizon Life, so if anybody wants to cruise the area, I'm down. I haven't gotten the Lego thing yet, the Lego expansion pack yet, but I'm down for it.
Awesome.
So what have you guys been playing? Peter,
Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
I've been playing Sea of Thieves every day since they have the optional, crossplay feature. It's fantastic.
Oh.
You don't have to worry about like cheaters and other stuff, and cheaters and exploiters. So that's nice. Game runs much better because you don't have that interference. It's fantastic.
So now you've got honest pirates, Peter.
Now we have honest pirates. Pirates that know how to do pirating from soup to nuts, and not like let you do all the work and
savvy.
I'll cheat you out of stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Also been playing some The Witcher 3. Fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah.
it took that Netflix show to get me started on it. It's been sitting on my digital shelf for the past 5 years, or 4.5 years. So
It's still sitting in mine.
yeah, it's good. And now this weekend they have free to play Wreckfest. It's a little destruction derby racing game. It's fun. It's fun.
Very nice.
And another thing that I've been playing some Wii/Wii U games because I got the secondhand Wii U because the other day I wanted to hook up my Wii and it has the composite video and other stuff and it looked like crap and at first I couldn't get it to work and then it finally worked. It's like, hey, I need an upgrade.
Right.
So I found a Wii U for cheap. Came with 2 games.
Nice.
So I've introduced my daughter to Wii bowling and Wii tennis and we're having a blast.
Nice.
How was the console, Peter? Pretty good condition, even for a used, pretty decent?
Yeah. I mean, they're a little,
like it hadn't
scuffed.
been touched.
No, it has been touched. It has like a little scuff marks on it that you have to look for it in order to see it. But everything.
Frankie's wanting to know if your Wii's ever been touched before.
Been fondling that thing ever since. So. It's now retired.
Okay.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, playing on that thing, and then it's like, why did you even have a Switch? It's like, 3DS and steroids. It's like, what the heck? Such a handheld.
Right.
Yeah. Still waiting for a Nintendo console.
Right.
Probably wait till the cows come home.
Yeah,
Right.
you're not. Yeah, I don't think you're
We're
ever
not
gonna
going to get
yet.
that. They probably put it on other platforms.
You're gonna get the Switch 2 next.
Switch 2. No, they can keep
No, it'll be the Switch XL.
Right, the 3D Switch.
xCloud.
It'll be a Switch EXL Pro.
The 3D Switch.
New
XL.
Nintendo Switch U.
The new portable Switch.
Right, it's this big.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, well, Frankie, since you're in the middle, what have you been playing and rolling through since we last saw you?
Oh boy, that's a short list actually. Borderlands 3 was like the last big game of last year that I really got into. So that was probably like the thing I spent the majority of the end of the year playing when I had time. I'm still not finished with it, but I think I'm pretty close to the end. I think I only got like 2 chapters to go, but I bought the season pass, so there's DLC coming out and all that stuff. So I played it to a point where I got burnt out, and hilariously enough, PlayStation sends out that thing Xbox does too with your stats for the year. Borderlands ended up being like my second most played game of the year with 98 hours or something behind Destiny 2, which I didn't even remember playing last year. But yeah, so I played it. Yeah, I asked Brent because I figured if I was playing Destiny, it was probably with them. And he was like, "Oh yeah, dude, the forges and all that stuff was earlier last year." I was like, "Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that." So I played a lot of Destiny last year, I guess. So, but outside of that, I've been kind of loosely following gaming news since because I've just been work's been kicking my ass. I got a promotion, if you will. Hence the no beard because you're not allowed to have one. Thank you.
Yeah, nice.
So so now that I'm kind of finally getting used to that schedule because it's like the polar opposite. I've always been, that dude who's up until 4 a.m. playing games, and I can't do that now because I got to be at work at 8 a.m. So it sucks. So I'm finally starting to get used to that lifestyle, unfortunately. But I figured, we get the new consoles coming out this year, so there's a lot of stuff I don't want to buy because I'm worried about the crossover. Because you're going to be at that weird point where it's like, oh, this game came out in April, but later this year they're going to be like, yeah, let's re-release it for the new systems, which I assume will be easier to do since it's all PC-based architecture again.
Well,
so
right, they're not going to what they'll do is they'll slap it in a new box and it'll be the same game.
Exactly, and they're not just going to let you have a free update if you bought it on one of the old systems, I bet. So
well, we're going to get into that. That's one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight, because that's been in the news. And honestly, it's funny. This is just me, and maybe it's because maybe I am aging out a little bit. I feel like it's
you have a system for that. The Wii. It's for when people are.
There's a system coming out for that.
It's like the number one system in retirement homes.
Yeah, right.
Still.
The Wii U.
Right.
No, it's the Wii U.
I mean, I don't know. I slap it in her same box and tell her it's different. Jesus, Jago.
Wow, Jago, yeah.
Jago's going to get us in trouble.
Nice, though. It's kind of keeping with the, momentum we got going, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll get it. Like I said, we'll get into that kind of stuff. But so, John, what have you been playing? What have you been up to this week?
Well, I've been working a lot, but I've been playing Death Stranding, and earlier this week or this weekend, it may have been Monday. I ended up beating the game. So I'm going back now, and I'm trying to pick up the last of the trophies. I think I'm like at 83% now. So I'm grinding out some trophies, trying to get the platinum.
How many platinums you got?
I got 36 or 37. But the thing is I just got my first PlayStation. See, I never owned a PlayStation console until about 3 years ago. So, I've got 36, 37 platinums in 3 years.
He is the platinum king. I gotta say, he is. I bowed down to his platinumness. I got two.
The game was great, Mike. I saw your 2 platinums, and I know one's Horizon Zero Dawn, and the other one is probably Spider-Man.
Yep,
that's probably Walking Dead.
All right, look who showed up. Look who the cat dragged in.
Going on, gentlemen.
Mustang o'clock.
See, that's the beard I should have, and I can't.
Yes, that is the beard you should have.
Bunch of crap.
Does it work?
Yeah, you missed
so
it.
Did you like Death Stranding? Because I haven't bought it.
Frankie, when I first started playing it, I didn't know what to think. I had played Kojima's games before, and I've always liked the quality of work he's done. So I started playing, and it was a totally different concept. I really didn't know what to think. And at first there were some weird things in it, but after I put in about 15, 20 hours, man, everything just started clicking. And I could see, I'm like, okay, I know what he's trying to do here. And the more you play it, the game opens up and opens up. And I think the beautiful thing about the game is the characters and the storyline, and everything makes sense. It's very well written. And he's actually kind of sneaky about the way he does things. And you're like, oh, I'm getting it now. So, I mean, it really, like I said, about the 15, 20 hour mark, I couldn't put it down. And the delivery thing, I started catching on to it, and trying to get faster times on my deliveries. And, as you go along in the game, you get to upgrade your character. So, you're able to carry more products. You're able to do this and that. You get new weapons that you've got bolo guns that you can use. You've got regular assault rifles and regular weapons, and you can switch between regular and blood ammo that you can use to kill the BTs. So there's like all this stuff packed in the game. And like I said, at first, I really didn't know what to think. But man, I absolutely love the game, and even after beating it, I want to go back and keep playing and to get all the trophies. I mean, I like it that much.
Cool. I was talking to my buddy Jake from the Polykill podcast, and he was telling me that there's like as you're playing the game, I guess there's an online component to it. So
there
like
is.
If other people are traveling a path, like that area of the game will start to wear like terrain will change because it's like a well-traveled road that people are using. How does that actually work?
Well, the coolest thing when you play, and the funny thing is, even though it's got that online component, I've had no issues whatsoever. Every time you play, you get on, there's not a problem. But when you get on, you'll see that other people in your world have done things like as you're traveling along, someone else may have built a bridge, or they may have built a safe house, or they may have built a lookout tower. If those people are in your world, you can access what they've built, and not only can you use it, but you can modify it. So actually, the more that you do for the game and the other people that are in your world do the game, it makes getting through the game easier. So the whole concept behind the game is, hey, I'm going to build this road. I'm going to take these materials that I've gathered. Maybe I've only got 50% of the materials, but I'm going to go ahead and put 50% of my materials and build this bridge. And hopefully the next player will come along and they'll finish it off and help me with that. So as you're going along the game, it's like you've got other people helping you. And it's the most awesome thing. And you can go by and you can like things that people have done, you know. So it's like I said, I got brought into the world, and I mean, I couldn't stop playing. It's really interesting because I've never played a game quite like this, where you're cooperatively helping other people as you're going along. And the story's phenomenal. Del Toro and all the actors that you've got in here, the guy from The Walking Dead, you know, I mean, the acting's phenomenal, and the storyline, the more you get into it, you'll see parts of the story, and you want to get to that next chapter or two to find out what's going on. And I haven't had a game do that to me in a long time. So yeah, I like it a lot. Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah,
To me, that game is overhyped still. I mean, I see you like the game. I played it. I don't know. I don't really want to get back to it. I will go back to it because I pay monies for it. But if I would have gotten it for free, I would have said, forget about it. It's in the beginning, it's fun. The walking and stuff is like, oh, that's neat. And it gets old so quick. And loading up your packages, it's fun the first time, and then it's like, for crying out loud, you know. That's why you have UPS, you know. You pay somebody else to do your stuff.
Hold A for nay. Yep.
Yeah.
So, hey, I wanted to really quick. We did introductions earlier, Chris, for the first time in ever, because you know we just always get into the show and just get rolling. But ladies and gentlemen, who has joined us, he is the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Williams, Fastback 6768, fresh from PAX South. What's up, brother?
Howdy, y'all gamers. What's
hey,
going on?
Chris.
Pretty good. Now, been a long week. So, yeah, excited. PAX South was pretty good. Not the best, but some goodies there.
Okay.
So, definitely look forward to sharing that later.
Yeah, we're going to get your PAX South report in just a few minutes.
And then later on, I want to announce, I figured once a month I'll announce like a, gamer of the month. Just somebody that I recognize that I see either on Twitter or whatever, that I feel that, I see them. They're always talking about something about gaming. They're showing what they're playing, and they're positive about it. And, I kind of want to recognize gamers once a month. So, and I think I might send out a little DM and give them a $10 gift card.
All right.
Other choosing platform, other choosing. So
To Best Buy.
Nice.
Hey, Jago said, just tweeted you guys out. Let's do a Retro Renegades crossover sometime. Oh, that's happening.
Oh,
We're going to get together with Retro.
Definitely.
In fact, we've got something that we're in the middle of putting together that I know Jago knows a little bit about. Jay knows all about it, and a couple other people know about it. And we're not quite there yet, but we got something cooking that's going to, as Chris is saying, to piggyback to Chris's Gamer of the Month, we're gonna bring together all the positive people that do these kind of shows. I talked about TXR a few minutes ago. There's a way to get everybody together to really spread the positive word about gaming. This craft, we could call it a hobby. I can call it a hobby. This thing is, that we love so much. So we've got something cooking that give us a little time, and we'll get it out there. Also,
you finally buying a taco truck?
Yes, yes. I have always wanted one, and I can eat all the tacos myself. So what's up, J Street?
Exactly.
Yes. So
it says positive like a taco truck.
Heck yes.
Exactly.
Oh,
It's happiness on wheels.
yes. So, all right. So, hey, Project Jeff and Dreadpool. All right, we got the chat hopping. So this
What's
is
up, everybody?
So let me message him because he just Bra just tweeted us out. Now Bra is supposed to come on every other week, and I feel bad because when Tommy was on last week, it's almost like his computer just killed him because he was on for like a couple minutes and then unfortunately his Skype just dropped out. I felt really bad because I tried to get him back and I couldn't, and so he kind of had to sit the night out. So I don't know if he can, but I'm gonna give a quick. I'm gonna hit him up with a quick message and see. I'll put him up there above Chris, and we can have just a big old extravaganza. So I'm gonna see if Thomas is available. If he is, we'll get him in. If not, he'll be on next week at his regular time. But wouldn't mind getting him on. So since you were having,
HDK Annihilator's calling you out.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. HDK finishes games. If he doesn't finish a game, then that's,
Yeah, that game isn't
the game
good.
is bad.
The game is
that's on the
bad.
different.
That man finished.
I mean,
that man finished Red Dead Redemption 2, and that game is bad.
That's what I was
That's
about to say.
I mean,
dedication.
it had a lot of eye candy. It was just the story had so many downs that
That game
you know
put me to sleep.
buried the ups.
I know, right? That's what
How
I'm
did you
saying.
make it
Frankie.
through that?
I couldn't make it through the snow.
Yeah,
I think I got to the camp and I was just like, I don't want to do chores. And that's the last
Yeah.
time I played it.
Yeah,
and I don't care for the online stuff.
So, yeah, I know.
I've got the
I'll
game
touch
and
it.
I haven't even played it yet. Every game I play or buy, it's like takes me 200 hours to finish. So I'm not even to the point where I can play it yet.
I'm playing Witcher 3 right now, so that's like,
Nice.
good luck.
That's a good 75 hours of your life right there.
Actually, I'm going to
Right.
start that this weekend.
So,
But I hate that you have to play a Siri, though. I hate switching from.
Peter,
Yeah.
I tell you what, I ended up with 275 hours in The Witcher 3, and I played, the card game in there, the Gwent
Oh,
card
yeah, no,
game.
yeah.
I
skipped
did
that.
all that. I spent hours, Peter, playing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
I didn't mind
beat
the
it?
series stuff because
It's
it
fun-
does
fun that they
tie
have
into
it.
the story.
Yeah, it's fun if they have like a card game or other stuff. Just do something easy, like a blackjack or some easy dice thing, and not like a crazy one with too many
It's a hard
cards.
thing.
I
What the
think
heck? Then your
Daryl's
opponent all of a
most
sudden puts
used
like
line
4
is-
cards down, and it's like, what's going on? I can only do one. It's like, cheers. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
I just couldn't. I had such trouble myself. So,
Ben Sally.
oh my goodness. So how was your week, Chris? Was you getting a chance to talk to you at the beginning?
No, like I said, week was good. Was busy at work. First 3 days, and then they told us, all right, we're cutting overtime, so that's why I'm off tomorrow. So,
All right.
my regular Friday off, but
Lucky.
so I'll get some gaming in this weekend.
There you go.
Like I said, I'm gonna start Witcher 3.
When are you
So-
when are we seeing another WDFC?
See what I did one at the beginning of this month, right? So
Was it? Yeah, it was. I think
I-
it was. So you want to do one a
I'm gonna
month,
do one
right?
I'm gonna do one in 2 weeks. I'm up next Friday.
Okay.
Off,
Awesome.
so.
Awesome.
And also, big shout out to my daughter. I don't know if she's listening, but my daughter just got accepted to Incarnate Word University here in San Antonio,
Yes. Congratulations.
and
Nice.
she is majoring in gaming and media development. So, animation, and so she'll once she gets in there, she'll decide she's gonna try different things, and once she figures out, okay, this is what I want to concentrate on. And so it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun to see how that all works out for her and where she ends up. So I'm
Yeah,
excited.
that's aw-
She's very
It's
happy.
awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's awesome when she struggled in the beginning. She failed first grade, got held back, and so we just kept working hard and hard. It wasn't easy, but I tell you what, I couldn't ask for a better once she got to the point where she went on her own, she had all the tools, she had the discipline, and she just worked hard. And she's in like National Honor Society. She's going to graduate high school with her associates, so she's already going in where she only needs 2 years to get her bachelor's. So
Nice.
I just super, super proud. I can't. Yeah.
Nah, that's awesome. Congratulations, man. And to her, of course. Congratulations to her. She earned. You earned going to college. So
yeah, she did.
that is fantastic. It's fantastic. Now, when is she coming on to talk about game development and whatnot?
Definitely. The stuff that I've seen when I was looking into the program that they have people who do internships at Insomniac. They have some that have they end up working at Sony studios and just all over. So they seem like they open doors, and like they'll travel to anywhere around the world to go visit studios and just do stuff, do internships. So it's gonna be interesting. Yeah.
Awesome.
And she may end up working at Disney or Netflix, working on some animation stuff. You never know. So whatever she wants to do.
Hey, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of it. So I'm so happy for her and for you. I mean, that's great. That way she can support you when it's time.
Yes. I need some free games when it give me a game. It'd be like God of War. Make me a game, girl.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe she's gonna work at Santa Monica. She's gonna make the first female God of War.
There you go. Goddess of War.
Goddess of War. Or Goddess of Peace.
So, all right. So let's before we're gonna move into our topics of the night, because I promised Peter we weren't gonna be 4 hours tonight. So, but before we do that, it is time for John's product of the week. He picked a good one. You guys, some of you kids are never gonna figure this one out.
And here we go.
Oh, hold on.
Would you get me the manager?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'm the manager.
Oh, that was fast.
Is something wrong?
Oh, no, I'm crazy about your Big Boy restaurant. I come here all the time for breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Then what?
It's just like Mom would do it at home. I can sit down at a table. There are real plates and silverware.
Well, that's just one of the reasons why Big
Real
Boy is America's biggest family of full-service restaurants.
Yeah, and your waitresses are helpful and friendly.
Thank you.
My mom would love all the choices on your menu.
And everything is cooked up fresh.
Yeah, well, I just love it here at Big Boy because you've done exactly what my mother would do.
Oh, thank you.
Except for one or two teensy things.
What's that?
Would you,
Oh, my. All right.
cut real small and don't let the meat touch the potatoes. That's my
Yeah.
Because the potatoes are vegetarian.
Okay, open the hanger and Mr. Potato will fly right in.
Oh, goody.
And there you have it.
Oh, goody.
All right, John.
That's nice. Big Boy, doing things like your mother would. And look what I've got here. I've got a Big Boy pop. Yeah.
Nice.
I have one left near me. Kind of near me. It's actually by my car dealership.
Yeah.
And thanks to Nate and a bunch of other people, I started playing that Pokemon Go again. And it's a Pokestop, and it's one of the creepiest looking things. Yes, it is. Nightmare fuel.
Big Boy was really special to me because when I was young and my parents would go on trips everywhere, you'd always see a Big Boy. You know, if we were traveling down to Tennessee to go through the mountains or Carolina or wherever, there'd always be Big Boy restaurants, or in Kentucky. So some of them were Frisch's, and it changed hands several times. It was Bob's Big Boy. I think it was Bob's Pantry. Went through several changes, but I always remembered the Frisch's Big Boy and Bob's Big Boy, and just kind of had a little special meaning to me when I was a kid.
I used to go when I was a kid as well, and we actually also had a Shoney's, which up here too.
Yeah, we had Shoney's.
No,
Big Boy. I never been to Big Boy.
Yeah, I mean it's a burger joint. I mean it's like
Right.
It's like we have Bob Evans, or any one of those kind of places. And this is the and of course this was prominently featured in Austin Powers.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yep, the Bob's Big Boy, which Doctor Evil got took off in at the end of the end of the movie. So they had great food. I mean, I remember them. So they are technically still around, and there's, but I don't know if it's the same. I know you said, Frankie, you still have one near you, but I don't know if it's the same folks or not.
It's kind of the same food, so
okay. So, but let's see. According to this, there is somebody. Let's see. The Michigan-based owner of the Big Boy chain, which chiefly franchises previous Elias Brothers Big Boy restaurants. They're down to about 175 since 2006, and then they're down to 76 as of July of last year. So they're still out there. So apparently they're trying a new fast food, fast casual concept known as Big Boys Burgers and Shakes in Ohio. So we'll have to see if Nate can go down there, and we'll have to get Nate if Nate's anywhere near Mayfield Heights.
That's closer to me.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is
Right.
to go find this out.
Big Boy 2.0.
Yes. So that is the Next Level Gaming product of the week. Is Bob's Big Boys restaurants.
Nice.
So, all right.
Bob's Burgers.
Bob's Burgers. Yeah. I never watched that. I never watched that show. I never got into it. I don't know why. I usually like that kind of stupid stuff, but I never got into Bob's Burgers. So,
funny, we got Burger
ahead.
Boy over here, and we got Bob's Burgers here.
See, yeah.
You got Whataburger too, don't you? You got all the
Still
good
my
burger
favorite.
places down there.
Yeah.
So, all right, hang on a second. Why is that? Oh, these are all sideways. All right, hold on. And those are going way too fast.
Here, wait a second.
All right. What the hell? Right. What the hell?
There we are.
Maybe
All right.
I was holding my phone wrong. No.
Yeah. All right. You set it up, and I'll fix the pictures. So you went to Chris. You were at PAX South this past weekend, and tell us all about it while I get the pictures fixed.
This is my 5th PAX South. And I went Friday and Saturday. So me and my daughter, my oldest, we always like to go on Friday so we can scope everything out. And that way when we go on Saturday, Saturday, the last couple years, I've taken my nephew, and sometimes he'll take a friend. So this year, first time I took my youngest, my 6-year-old, with us on Saturday. So when we went Friday, this one was not. There's a lot there. PAX South has always been about indie developers. You got a lot of small booths and small developers there showing off their games. But over the years, you've seen some like Tiny Build. This PAX South, Tiny Build was probably the biggest publisher there. So,
Really?
Yeah. For the first time, they didn't have Capcom there. Like last year, they had Bandai Namco, Capcom, they had Sony with Days Gone. They had a VR booth. Xbox had a small little deal there. And this year, none of that. And also PAX South is not just about video games, but they're also about board games. So you have tons of people on table. You have a bunch of booths. You have all kinds of new game, up and coming board games, and of course you got like Magic Gathering, and there's a big area there where people they look forward to getting together and go have some Magic Gathering games going on and so on. So they had I was hoping I tried to get off early from work enough to go, but Rod Ferguson he had an early showing at 10:30 on their main theater stage, and I heard that it was pretty good. He was funny and so on. So, but I think it's on Mixer, so there might be you can go back and watch that later on.
Okay.
But, and so like I said, Friday, me and my daughter we walk around. I saw Sincere, but he was busy doing something, and me and my daughter went up to go watch a panel. And then after that, I ran into Fame from 2XP podcast, which he's still part of TICGN. I ran into Fame, Dallas, and they were both on his podcast. And I ran into also J-Dub, who we all know is the biggest troll on Twitter. But I've watched him in podcasts in the past, but meeting him in person, he was a nice guy, a real cool guy. And like me and him at Fame, we're just there joking around, like it. They don't take a lot of this stuff seriously. It's just all fun for them. And of course, I told him, "Are you here to troll a bunch of Xbox guys here at PAX South? What's going on?" But nah, he was cool. So it was good running into them, just catching up, and then I also got to run into them also on Saturday. And of course, I finally ran into Sincere and his wife, and that was very cool. We just sat there about 30 minutes, just talking about whatever, and that's why we kind of joked around like we had our own personal podcast going on, So.
Yeah, they're really great people. Him and his wife.
Yes.
I really enjoyed being around them. I'm still trying to fix the pictures, by the way, so keep talking.
Yeah, and so like me and him, when I finally caught up to him, just got along. I mean, we talk about a lot of stuff that we know. We're over here talking about this, talking about Sony, Xbox, the next consoles, and all that. So we had a good, interesting conversation, and definitely told him need to get him on again. And
yeah, he knows.
And I recommend to a lot of people, definitely go check out Gold Chain Gamers. He's got a good, very good. He's done very good. The shows has been growing. He's got good production with his buddy on there. I think his name is Jet that he goes by, but he's a very cool guy.
He is. Okay, I think I know what I'm doing here. Let's see.
We ran into a guy. Remember Garrett from Black Ice?
Yes.
And the reason why I saw him right away because he showed off that jacket, that real shiny kind of disco ball looking jacket. I think he showed it off on the show, and so I saw him right away and just talked to him. But he didn't have his game there. But of course, he's up in Austin, so not too far for him. So I definitely told him, he said he has some new stuff going on, and so hey, anytime, just come on the show, get an update on Black Ice, and
absolutely
what's going on. So,
so
it was fun, even though PAX South didn't have as much, the big stuff there. Like, it would have been cool if Xbox had showed up with like Bleeding Edge. That would have been a cool game to see, especially being a multiplayer game.
Yeah,
that would have been cool to see on stage, or whatever. Or Sony, I know last year they had Days Gone, but I didn't expect. I know their next big game is Last of Us 2, and I'm not surprised that wasn't there because technically they don't really need to go around showing that off, make a big old spectacle because it's going to sell.
Oh gosh, yes.
I don't think they have a problem with that, but I was surprised Capcom because isn't Resident Evil 3 coming out? Remake coming out soon?
Yep.
And they had a great looking booth for Resident Evil 2 last year. So
they did.
It's kind of sad about that.
So hey, hey, real quick, I just wanted to give a shout out to Invader Gaming who jumped in. And Monkey Punch, but Invader. So that's the guy I was talking about at the beginning of the show with TXR podcast. You guys really need to check them out. Go subscribe to their channel. They're on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. And since you weren't here earlier, Invader, I gave this shout out earlier, but I'm going to look right into the camera. I want to tell you and Jeremy and the rest of your crew, once again, thank you. Thank you for what you did for us, holding off on that, on announcing your Tommy Tallarico interview, which was stellar, and holding that off until we were done our show on Thursday night. That's just something that, again, I won't forget, and something that shows us just, seriously, what kind of great people there are out there. So I want everybody to go check your channel out, go check out the TXR podcast, and you won't find a finer bunch of gamers there. So, okay, sorry, back to PAX. There was Sincere. I'm gonna make these 30-second intervals so people can kind of see the pictures. So
now I try to take as many pictures as I could. Try to play as many games as I could. Were a lot of people Saturday, but there's a couple gyms there that I'm really excited for. Like, and we'll get to them in the picture. But one is called Creek. Reminded me a lot of Ori and the Blind Forest. Had that same kind of art. The colors. And I watched Sincere play it, and it really looked cool. And Artful Escape was there, and that was a cool game. I got a video that I emailed you. I don't know if you were able to get that in, but yeah, Artful Escape is going to be a fun one.
We saw that at E3, didn't we? Wasn't that at Microsoft?
They showed it, I think, a couple of years ago. But this time, got to see some gameplay, and there was a line for that. Tiny Build, they had a cool booth, but one thing about Tiny Build, they're still the big game for them is the Hello Neighbor, and now they got Secret Neighbor, but the game is already out, and so they had a cool booth. They kind of had a mock-up of the house and Tiny Build and the Hello Neighbor. Kind of a carnival type scene they were going on there, so they had a big line for Secret Neighbor. They had a couple other games that were new, so we might see their pictures here. I thought they were interesting.
I wish that there's a game that I wish that they would do a sequel to that came out many moons ago. I played it. In 2013. It was called No Time to Explain. And it was this really cool. You remember that game, Frankie?
I do.
That was such a
shooter.
Really cool. But the way they did it with the time travel and all that, and the guy, coming out, there's no time to explain, and it's the way they set that game up. I've been dying for a sequel to that, or at least something like it. So there's Sin.
And normally I try to buy.
It's a nice looking hat.
Donate. So the shirt that I'm wearing is a 1UP Stack Up, and they're a non-profit organization that raises money. They'll have games raise money through gaming for veterans. So I definitely donated to them again. And then I finally got this hat, Gears of War.
Oh, nice
hat. Nice. Yeah. So I picked that up, and of course my daughter picked up a couple things. But it was expensive. It's $50 a person to get in this year. I remember the first year I went, and I think it was like 38, and of course, in the 40s the last 4 years. But yeah, it was expensive. The merchandise. So I heard a lot of people complaining about that.
Well, then don't buy it.
I know. Yeah, we've been there plenty of times. It's like, okay, just limit yourself to one thing. We've been here plenty of times. If you see something you absolutely need to have, and you can't find anywhere else. And like Frankie, remember you asked me last year about going to Limited, and they had the same booth. They didn't have, just selling the games. They weren't.
Those punks.
That's special. Because they were like, well, that vending machine. Because I was like, well, if they had that vending machine there, then I would go and get you a couple things. But they said, no, we'll have it at PAX East. So
it's
like, what's wrong with?
Look, they're based in, I think, Apex, North or South Carolina. I never remember which one.
Uh-huh.
Is it closer for them to go down to Texas? That is to lug that thing up to Boston.
Yeah, I don't know. This game right here, this picture.
Swim Sanity.
Yeah, that was kind of cool, and they had a tournament later on. It's a 4-player deal, kind of versus each other. You're in water, I believe. But it was a cool. Just you're kind of shooting at each other, and yeah, it was fun. I played it. I don't know. My daughter, I thought she filmed it, but yeah, but I lost. I came in last. Don't ask me what this is. I can't remember.
Almost looks like Warframe.
Oh, okay. This was that one, the tiny build. It was Hell something.
Helmont or whatever.
Yeah, I think I have another picture where it shows the game. Sincere played it. It was kind of cool. We played together, me and my daughter. It was kind of a co-op thing. I don't know if there's more than 2 players.
I know.
This was fun.
Tell us about Streets of Rage.
Just coming up to it, the colors just stood out. The art, it's a beautiful game, beautiful, and the combat and everything was smooth. Like when you do certain moves, you see like a flash. Like they had certain effects that pop out whenever you do certain moves, and it was just a beautiful game. And it was popular.
I bet
and
it was.
My daughter, they gave us only 3 lives for the demo, and my daughter, my 6-year-old, outlasted me. So.
Oh, and there's your daughter.
We always try to take, this is my oldest, and we always try to take a picture at the deal. But of course, the guy we told asked to take a picture, didn't get the whole PAX South sign. So
yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna try to keep rotating these as we go.
This game is called Pumpkin something.
Pumpkin
it's
Days.
It's
Pumpkin
like
Days.
a farming simulator type game. It's a lot. It's kind of like Stardew Valley in a way. There's a lot of NPCs in the game that you can go and interact with, and you can also it's also multiplayer. I think she said up to 8 people, but but then if you have so many people, they can kind of work with you on that.
Cool.
This one, here's a couple cosplayers, Geralt and Yennefer.
That doesn't look like Henry Cavill.
A little shorter, but then
a little pudgier.
Cool.
Stunt double.
Yeah, they did. They had a good from a certain angle. But no, they look good. They were going around, and a lot of people and get pictures with them. So, I think Fame and J-Dub took a picture with them.
Oh, what is that?
I don't know.
Okay. fair enough.
I thought it was Creek, but it's not. But I think I have a flyer from them. There
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that art style.
There was quite a few there.
Oh, well, it's good. It's good to see the. So there's the Artful Escape. So you got a chance to actually sit down and play it?
A little bit. There was a line there, so I did more video on the outside.
Okay.
I got to sit down right here, so no, I wasn't in this one.
All right.
But I did show a video being played though. I don't know if you grabbed those videos.
Where did you put those?
In our emails that we set up on the.
Oh, did you email it to me?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. If I've got them, okay. Hold on.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, the emails that we set up, Zoho.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on. I'll take a look. If I've got them, we'll play them.
Discord only allows you to do so much.
Yeah, I know.
This game right here was kind of more of an art, like a hands-on, where it's like you're erasing there's a story to it, and then you erase it when you finish reading it, and then it goes to another scene. So my oldest was playing that. She liked it. So it was interesting. They
did the Deponia games.
Which one?
Yeah, and I figured too, Frankie, you being there,
Deponia.
Oh, okay.
would catch a lot of these.
Point and click adventure game. Kind of
Yeah.
Futurama-y.
Gotcha. All right,
Here's
so
Tunic. And
Oh,
my
yeah,
daughter did
Tunic.
get me playing. I played Tunic. I tell you what, I like the game. And I asked her, I said, "When's the game coming out?"
Or do you just
No,
smile at you, push you out of the booth?
I mean, I told him it was here last year. Playable.
It'll be here next year too, son.
Yeah. But I love it. I mean, it has a lot of Zelda vibes to it. It's cool because I was walking in a certain area and it's Finji. I think that's the publisher, right?
Yeah.
But you see a sword on top. You're like, cool, I want to get to it, but you have to kind of work your way to it. You got to go through some tombs and fight a couple. I had to start off with the stick.
All right.
And I got the sword and shield.
So I don't know what happened, but the emails you sent me do not have attachments.
Huh. That's weird.
That is weird. I'm sure
I
it's
shared it straight from the video.
yeah. I'm sure it's probably this Zoho system.
Probably.
So, all right. Well, we still got pictures.
Yeah.
So,
I did go to one interesting thing that me and my daughter did, because we normally don't go to the panels, but we did go to one, and it was about developers from Mexico, and they had, I think, 4 or 5 games there. So this is where we kind of start off. This was inside the area theater, so we had a couple games here, and they talked about their games and just what they go through when they're developing games. So I wanted my daughter to hear, straight from developers, what it takes to they go through. Sometimes they make a game that they like, but then when they get it out there and start sharing it, not so much what other people want to play. So,
right.
Just stuff that they have to adjust. This is the one, the Creek. Not a good picture there, but I guarantee that one, keep an eye out for that. Really gonna like that. It has some cool features where there's like you have a companion. You have to work together to get to certain areas. Like you can jump on top of the companion or you have to jump together to get to a certain level. That one's gonna be fun. Keep an eye out for that. There's a panel. It was about an hour long, but it was interesting.
nice.
Now, hopefully, I talked to a couple people, so hopefully, they were interested about coming on. So I'll be reaching out there.
Wherever. It's Tunic, Jeff. How is it our encyclopedia, our online encyclopedias doesn't have the right name? It's Tunic.
Gin and tonic. This is a totally reliable. This is one of the games that Tiny built. It was like a multiplayer game where like you're delivering packages or something like that. It's just funny. It was like a corny game.
That was an early access. I've seen some stuff. That game looks so dumb. I love it.
It does.
I love to get dumb games like that.
Just a fun party game, fun with friends.
See, I like those kind of games.
Hellpoint. That was
That's
it.
what I was talking about earlier. It's kind of like you're going to a hack and slash. It's kind of maybe like a Dark Souls type deal. There were some really cool enemies in there. There was one that looked like it was like a knight. And so when my daughter saw him, I was like, oh shit. But, we took it out together. But, it kind of like we were going through some kind of dungeon or whatever it was, making our way through. But, yeah, keep an eye out there. And there's Sincere and his wife. Playing.
I like those kind of games.
That's when little Jeff's been drinking his gin and tonic and then pulls out his Hellpoint pen to write something.
Yeah.
So that's all right. So I get to needle Jeff after that whole Mike's playing Roblox bullshit.
Mike is playing Roblox.
Oof.
I know. Peter says that
it's
to me
his
all the
son.
time. Why are you still playing Roblox? I'm like, it's my son. I swear to God. So I finally had to take a picture of it.
Yeah.
They all say. Yeah, some put on headphones.
Yeah.
Pay little Mullis to send us a picture of you playing Roblox on the other TV.
I'll tell you, we keep talking about the Amico, but I got to tell you, so my son is upstairs, my 5-year-old, and I don't know if you guys know, there's a Game Pass game called Trains, which is the wooden train simulator, like the wooden train set that you could build in your play, and so they got a video game version of that. Between that and watching a 5-year-old trying to play Subnautica,
Boy.
Right.
I finally turned to my wife and said, "This is why we're getting an Amico, because those games he'll be able to frickin' play and not go, Daddy, how do you do that? Daddy, how do you do this? Daddy, help, Daddy." Like,
I'll be an Asteroids master.
I'm okay with that. If he learns how to play Astro Smash, be a boy after my own heart. So, all right. So
this one was an interesting game because if you go back a couple pictures, these are all in the same booth area. So, like this one right here was about you underwater gods, and so you can interact with them, and you can kind of change them to do certain things. It's just your interaction with certain gods underwater, and so determining of what you do, it determines the outcome of what they do in the game.
Cool. So all in all, PAX a good time?
Yeah, we had a good time, especially running into people that I've known before. I was hoping to run into the guys from Mealhorn Gaming, but I never ran into them. I was hoping to see something with a shirt or something like that. So, this game right here, I had my daughter play. I think I saw it there last year. It's kind of like a platformer, hack and slash. It was fun. She had fun playing it. I had a video of that too.
Almost looks like she's got little Mega Man boots on.
Yeah, it's kind of. I was going to say it's kind of like a Mega Man type game. There were a couple. There's like a big crab boss, and I heard some people talking about that, saying, hey, that looks like from Mega Man. So that was an interesting game. I think it's also on Switch. A lot of games that are on Switch that were there. So, Switch has been real big with indies.
It's gotta be big with something, I guess.
Yes.
Hey, any Google Stadia there?
No.
Sorry, I had to.
You would think that they want to get the word out.
PAX would be a great place to go.
They should have had one there, and I would have tried it.
No, I know it was a joke, Jeff. I was needling you back. I didn't take it seriously.
It wasn't a joke. It was true. You're playing Roblox. I don't know why you're so embarrassed by this.
Yeah.
Shut it, Frankie.
Okay.
Ah, man. I'm playing the classic. How do we say this? Konami?
Konami?
Yeah.
Konami.
Konami.
Castlevania Lords of Shadow. Dude, this game has aged so damn well. This game's 10 years old this year. And it still just looks awesome.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these games have... See, I think a lot of games have aged better than people have thought. I played Jedi Academy, and I thought that game aged really well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun.
Oh.
I just finished Syndicate finally. That's a game I've been chipping away at for 8 years.
Wow.
Has not aged well.
Wow.
I feel like just because now we're used to playing first person shooters, 60 frames a second, nice smooth animations, like that game just
Assassin's Creed and Syndicate?
No, just Syndicate.
Yes,
the
Starbreeze
first person shooter from 2012. Because that's my new mission. Is now I'm just playing all the stuff on my backlog. So I'm just trying to go back, and that was one of them. I finally finished Alan Wake.
Nice.
I played that game for at least 3 straight days. I think I didn't realize I was playing it on hard So I hooked up on that was when I hooked the computer up to the TV, and I'm like, oh, let's see if I can get Steam to work on here and do all that. So it's like Alan Wake, perfect. That's one of the ones I want to finish. So that game held up really well too. The cutscenes look like shit, but like the actual game itself still looks really damn good.
I need to go through. Did any of you guys do American Nightmare? I never did the American Nightmare. It's sitting on my console.
Mine too. Yes. I gotta download it. So
I got it. I've got it. It's downloaded. I just need to play it.
One of these days.
So, why don't we? There's a couple of topics that I want to talk about. That's beyond this. And thank you, Chris, for your wonderful PAX report. And one of these days, we're going to be able to get to a show together.
I would like to meet up at PAX East one year.
We got to figure out how to get into PAX East. By the time tickets go on sale, they're sold out. So
normally the 3-day passes sell out quick.
Yes, Jeff, I love this game. I was just talking about it earlier. How I want to go back and play this thing because the online servers still work.
See, I think you guys, if you guys want to come to someplace closer than Boston, I think you guys should come with us this year to Too Many Games. You guys would enjoy that.
Do you know what weekend it is?
Yes, I actually do. Because they started sending out emails about who the bands are this year. Because I got to tell you, yeah, I wish.
What night are you headlining?
June 26th to 28th. I mean, I got to tell you, I had low expectations, but I heard great things about it. And even though it's more of a like a retro convention, buy sell kind of thing, but they've got, Peter, you'll love this. They've got the kind of the Hall of Arcade and the computer museum and stuff like that. I mean, I really enjoyed myself, and so did my son, who I think one of the things that one of the greatest things that I watched was watching him get so determined to beat the Oregon Trail that he's like, "Dad, go shop. I'll be right here." And he sat in front of a Mac, and by the time I got back, he's like, "Yeah, I beat it." I mean, he was just that, but I mean, he understood for at least a couple of days what my fascination was with older retro stuff. And we stayed over. So like we'll probably do that again. We found not one of the official hotels that Too Many Games has a package for or anything like that, but we stayed at a hotel that was like literally 10 minutes away from the convention center, and it was great. So I know we're going back. Any takers that want to do a trip up there, I'm down for it. So
where's it at?
It is actually in Pennsylvania, so you don't have to go all the way up to Boston. It's not quite Philadelphia. It's called Oaks, Pennsylvania, but it's kind of greater Philadelphia area.
Oh.
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you want, go to my Twitter page. You can find. I did post a video of the Streets of Rage 4.
Did you? All right, I'll see if I can. I might be able to grab it. If I can grab it, I'm putting that sucker up. So
I cannot wait for that game.
I know.
That's the one thing that bums me out is that Xbox wasn't there. They should have brought Battletoads.
Right?
When's that supposed to come out?
Spring, I thought.
Sometime.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking.
I just did the one for.
Oh, hang on. Oh, I see you tweet. Okay, I see you. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can grab it. If I can grab it, then I'll put it up. I don't know.
Limited Run will be doing a physical edition of it.
I believe so, but it's coming to Game Pass, so that's all I need.
I want my physical version.
I know. So does Monkey Punch. Monkey Punch said he wanted a physical version too.
I think Juan tagged me, but I want to say they announced they were doing it.
So check it out while you guys. So here's so far who's coming to Too Many Games. Charles Martinet, who he was there last year, the voice of Mario. David Hayter. I know. He wants $40 for an autograph. That $20 for a selfie. You know what? I got a free autograph and selfie from the Epic Rap Battle guys last year. You know, honestly, they were just outright cool. All right, let me see if I can grab this. It does not look like I can grab that from there. All right, you'll just have to everybody have to go to Fastback's Twitter feed, and then you can see the video of.
If you can't grab it, but could you go onto Twitter and just go to
No.
the page?
How dare you?
I don't know. Hold on. Let me see. Well, let me try it this way. I have a link.
I put Artful Escape, and I put Tunic. At least those three. I don't know why, because I tried to share them directly to the email, and for some reason it's not attaching.
That is weird. You know what you could do after the show? Upload them to the YouTube page.
Okay.
Yes, upload them to our YouTube page. So, hey, some breaking news. Plague's Tale is now in Game Pass. That hit this evening.
For Xbox as well.
Yep.
As well as PC.
As well as PC. I know I will be dipping into that because I watched Niall stream that walkthrough. By the way, Niall's walkthrough is on our page, so if you want to check that out, it was a great walkthrough. He did a fantastic job playing through. So, also I just read that the Wasteland remastered is coming out February 25th.
Yes.
Yes. So
I'm gonna check that out before I play Wasteland 3.
Yeah. Dreadpool saying may be too big of a file for email. That could be. So that's fine. If you put them up on the YouTube page, we'll just point people to them. So, all right. So I want to ask you guys about a couple of things that have happened over the course of the last week or two while we've had Tommy on and stuff like that. We've kind of neglected talking about the news of the week. So Sony is skipping E3 again. We all know, we all saw that, and getting away from social media is a great place to talk about that here. So I'm curious as to everybody's thoughts as to why you think they're doing it, and I'm standing tall, and I'm still on my E3 is on its way out the door mentality. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Tommy said he's got a big presence there next this year, but people don't go to see the Intellivision at E3. They go to see.
They're not?
No, they're not.
I would.
Well, but is that the only reason you'd go?
No.
Exactly. So, but
if you were in town, you'd probably go, right?
Well, if you're
Absolutely.
in town, yes.
Here.
Since I'm here, but I mean, are you really flying out to go see that? And don't get me wrong, I'm first in line for the Founders
Even
Edition,
if they're all there, I wouldn't fly out. I mean, I just don't have the time.
Well, there is that.
And the monies.
But I mean, and I know that there's friends of mine who just won't accept this, that the show is not what it used to be. It's not ever going to be that way again. Part of it is because to me, Sony doesn't have to be there. Why? All they have to do is just either announce what they're going to announce or hold their own show, hold their own reveal event, everybody with a cell phone camera will be there. The gaming media tweets out stuff faster than they put out articles, and there's no need for you to wait for a magazine or a website to tell you what happened at a big show. It's why so many games get announced before the show even happens. EA's not there. Let's be honest. Microsoft says they're there, but Microsoft's not there. They're across the street in their own area. They have no presence on the show floor with the rest of the games. Nintendo will be there, but they don't do a conference. They do their own thing, and so Sony won't be there. Activision has nothing to show because, well, they don't have Destiny anymore, so Call of Duty is all that's left, and they're going to reveal that before E3. So I mean, I keep going back to the fact that eventually the show, and it may not be the 5 years that I thought it would be. Maybe next year they'll still have a show. That's my 5 year. I think that's my 5 year plan that I said. But this show's going to continue to go downhill, and eventually Microsoft's going to be like, all right, well, you know what? We'll be at the theater, but we'll be here, June 3rd instead of, May whatever. It does not, it just doesn't compute. So I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on, you guys all know how I feel about E3, and so now I want to know how you guys feel about Sony's decision not to be there, what that means for Sony, and what that means for the E3 show itself. So,
I think it's more a letdown for the fans, for the gamers, than for, what you said, like E3 is not what it used to be because of social media and everything is like, almost instantly instead of,
it was a show for journalists.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, that's really done. I mean, you don't need to do that anymore. But I think for the fans and for gamers, I mean, wouldn't it be nice that you could attend, like, Microsoft's Fan Fest and Microsoft Reveal at the, even at the Microsoft Theater, and then, the next day you go to, to wherever Sony is having their stuff. I mean, to me, that for gamers and fans, it's a letdown. For E3 itself, no. I mean, and for Sony, I mean, why would you pay, a ton of money just to be at the E3 floor? I mean,
right.
You pay
but that's
money to be at a different, convention hall somewhere down there. But at the same time, I mean, that's, convenient for gamers. It's a celebration of games, really.
The thing is, though, as far as I know, E3 is not a public show.
It is
right?
The last few years. It has been.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess you need something filling up all the halls.
Yeah, they opened it up to the public.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, the whole thing was initially supposed to be for, like, retailers and all that stuff. And
right.
Look, GameStop's on the verge of going out of business, and that's your biggest games retailer anymore. It's just brick and mortar stores they don't need shows for them anymore. Like GameStop had their convention where they had all the publishers coming in and doing stuff for them. But, as far as E3 goes, like you've been saying, like, I think, like, the relevance of that show has been diminishing for the past 3, 4, 5 years. And, with all these guys pulling out of it, it's like, sure, Xbox has their conference going on. EA is probably going to do their thing. Nintendo has their Treehouse thing.
Well, remember, EA does EA Play, and I haven't even heard EA announce an EA Play this year. Yeah, at least not yet.
Come on, we need to see the Just Dance 2021.
That's Ubisoft
again.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
Sorry, Ubisoft.
And
okay.
Ubisoft is delaying games, and
I was getting confused.
Are we going to see them there?
Yeah.
They delayed everything, so
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you didn't. EA EA's had their own show like a week before or the weekend before E3 for the longest time in a whole different city. So
I think EA's always done theirs on Saturday, and then Sunday is Xbox has done it the last couple of years.
Right.
And then Bethesda Sunday night, and then Monday's Sony and I think Ubisoft. I think.
And I mean, what does Bethesda have to? Well, usually they surprise you with a couple of things. And that's another thing is what is everybody holding on to? We're in this weird phase where a lot of big games are dropping right before the new consoles. So, we'll get to that in a second. I still want to get everybody's E3 opinion and stuff. So,
well, it's also like, remember, it used to be that games would drop like right before the holidays, right?
Right.
And now it's like the whole year has game releases.
Yeah, we went through them a few weeks ago when we did our release date show. No, but John, what are your thoughts?
I'm kind of in the same boat you are, Michael. I think over the past few years, the relevance of E3 is less and less. Right now, if you go on social media, what I've noticed, it's not so much Sony fans that are upset about them not being at E3. It's about other fans of other consoles making more of a big deal about it. Ooh, Sony's not there. They're not going to be there. They don't have anything to show. The fact of the matter is Sony's got tons of great games coming out this year. And they're obviously doing this as a business choice. Now, we can speculate on what their reasons are for not being there, but they're obviously doing it for a reason. Now, if I was coming out with a new console this year, like both Microsoft and Sony and even Nintendo, right now they're spending a lot of money, a lot of resources on these console launches. Personally, I like the fact that they're not going this year because they can focus on the console launch. And they've got an event in New York City all month long that's going on. It's either started now or it's starting soon, where they're going to be having events, going on for several days. I heard that February 5th, there's rumor that February 5th, they're going to announce something about the PlayStation. So to me, I don't see it as a sign of weakness. I don't see it as a sign they don't have anything to show. They obviously are doing this for a reason. Usually at E3, I mean, I live in Indiana, so I'm in the Midwest. Now, one time I went to a little convention where they had a Halo thing going on here in Indiana, but they always have things out on the West Coast or the East Coast, and they never have anything in the Midwest. So for me, I normally just watch E3 anyway, and I watch tidbits of it. But it's kind of a rehashing. It's the same old thing. You see a few minutes of a game, and it's a lot of hype built up. But I can see why companies are backing out. And plus, with Sony not being there, when we interviewed Tommy Tallarico, he was speaking for Intellivision. He said, well, they were going to be there this year. So it gives a chance for other people like him to be there this year.
Right.
So that's
but if
great.
people are not going because Sony is not there, then
Yeah, and I mean
missing out on
that's
some people too.
That's great for Tommy, but me personally, you guys know me. I love all the consoles. I have them all. I'm not really big on the E3 thing, So I like to see that actually Sony's focusing on the console launch. That's what it seems. They've been real quiet lately. They haven't mentioned a lot. They've just been kind of sitting back. So that they've got something planned. For me, that's building up more hype than the E3.
But we're going to see
like to go to LA and being able to go to Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo and everyone?
Well, cool? and even Nintendo's not even there. They do their little treehouse thing, or they do a little video for So the Nintendo's presence isn't even there that much.
Maybe it's just you have a booth, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it's kind of like what they would have at PAX. It's nothing.
Right. But
maybe it's because I've been gaming for so long. Like after 38 or 39 years, E3 just isn't like super exciting for me.
Well,
I mean, that's just me.
To John's point, though, when I remember the pomp and circumstance of those conferences. We would line up to go to see Microsoft, and then we go in the next day. We'd see Sony's. We go in. Sean Foster would go in and see the Nintendo conference, and we'd all get back together and talk about all the great stuff we saw, or wonder what the hell they were smoking when they called it the Wii. Whatever it was, there was a mystique about going to those things, and then that mystique is not there anymore, and that's my problem. And consider this too, and then I want to get to Chris. Consider this too. By the time Sony gets to E3, at least one of their marquee 2019 possible Game of the Year titles will already be out in The Last of Us 2. That's gonna launch before the show. That's something. What are they gonna show footage from a game they just released? So we know about Godfall, and I mean maybe Ghost of Tsushima, but there's that. So Chris, your take on this part.
I like watching E3. I like getting together and to see all the games that are shown, whether exclusive or not, because the stages that Sony and Xbox have, the conferences, it's not only for themselves, for their games, but it's also to help show third-party games, some smaller indie games, like Artful Escape we were talking about. We saw that 2 years ago. Those shows get a lot of attention, so you're able to see a lot of these games that maybe normally you might miss. But like we talked about, times have changed. Social media, YouTube, all the streaming and all that. You don't have to wait till E3 to see a lot of these games shown. Now you got developers that be on Twitch or Mixer, and they'll just show their gameplay themselves before it comes out and release. They gradually build up that excitement and interact with people, live, in the streams. So, but E3, that 1 year where developers and fans and media can all get together at the same place and come together and share gaming together, the excitement, the celebration. So for me, like Peter said, it's a disappointment for the fans, whether or not you're Sony or whatever, because the last two E3s, Sony really hasn't been all that great, right? Nothing spectacular. We knew what games were already coming out, and this year it's kind of disappointing when you're having a launch console and what games are going to come out. People could go there physically and interact and see these games for themselves. It's one you can see it. Yeah, you can see it on the stream on your phone or whatever, but it's not the same whenever you see it in person. Like Artful Escape, yeah, I saw the videos for it before, but until I saw it being played in person, I was like, wow, And so it's a different experience for the fans, for the gamers, to be there in person, to have that opportunity to go there. So it is disappointing for Sony fans, but like you said, Mike, E3 hasn't been the same. It's expensive, and I think Sony's kind of looked at over the past couple of years, like they've still been very successful by just the attention they get on social media, and so streaming and all that is taking that place. They don't need to unload everything all in one show and spend millions of dollars. And so I think the deal they're going to have in New York, that's the Sony Hall, isn't it? So
yeah, they've got
they got their own little theater. Or whatever
they've got they've got a month long of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So like I said, and it's really weird because none of our opinions are wrong or right.
Yeah.
It's weird, guys, because I mean, like I said, after gaming for 39 years, I've never been to an E3.
Yeah.
I've only watched tidbits of it, but it's never not being there or not having one, I guess, because some years I watch it, some years I don't. It's not affected my gaming or anything that I've purchased.
Nah,
It's made no
definitely not.
impact on me whatsoever.
No,
So
that's-
I look at it, even like Xbox, like even though they're across the street, if they decided, if Phil Spencer said, "Hey, look, man, we've got all these big plans, you know, and we're doing this. We're not gonna attend E3, but we're gonna have another venue for this." I'm sure that the fans are still going to be excited. They're going to be, okay, well, to not be at E3 might be a little bit of bummer for people that frequent that show, but there's a lot of people that don't even get to make it to E3. So there's millions and millions of people that are going to say, well, they're not at E3, but they're going to have a special show and it's going to go on for a couple weeks. That's fantastic, and it's all Xbox. So fans are going to go wild. So I'm not really sure. I mean, I can understand what Chris and Peter's saying. I mean, there is part of it that's kind of sad because it's video game related, but things are changing so much. You know, in a few years, we might not even have digital games anymore. You know, so I think there's going to be some big changes. You know.
Well, and that's something that I want to make clear is that I'm not happy about this. I mean, from somebody who
I'm not either.
I went to 10 of these things. I've walked many miles of that show floor, and this is, you know, it makes me feel old. You know, sometimes there are things that just make me feel old, and this is one of those things. Watching something that I got to be a part of as a member of the gaming press, to watch this go this route doesn't make me happy at all, because again, that mystique is not there, and that's the mystique that draws. You know, I'm looking at the chat room, and you know, Jeff and De Niro and these guys. You know, I love watching E3. De Niro says. And that's and Jeff says he's, you know, he loves E3, and that's how I used to feel about it. And I just, you know, I enjoy. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy our live reaction shows to the Microsoft press conference and to the Bethesda conference, and we're going to do that again this year. And John's going to be with us this year, which is great. I have actually talked to TXR about doing it with us this year, and maybe they will. And we have a lot of fun during that, and that's awesome.
But
well, you know,
wouldn't it be
another
awesome
thing
if you could like, you know, go to E3 and hang out in person and watch that stuff and meet other people?
Oh, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it, Peter. Watching it, it's like going to a sporting event. Like being there is a totally different feel than watching it on TV.
You know, I think the thing that really discouraged me about the whole E3 thing, though, each year it's the same thing, and we get done watching E3, we watch all the conferences. Nintendo has theirs, Microsoft has theirs, Sony has theirs. And then, especially on social media, then all we do is spend the next month arguing about who won the darn show. And guess what? They don't give you out any prizes. Nobody wins an E3. There's no gold trophy. You don't win money. The whole idea of the show is to go there and to show your fans what you've got. But
there are winners.
But like I said, even if they don't have an E3, if they replace it with a different show, and let's say they have an all Xbox thing that goes on for a month, or they have an all Sony thing, that might even end up being better than the E3. I think that people just aren't used to it. It's kind of like when people weren't ready to go digital. Remember when the Xbox One first launched and they had all these great ideas about digital sharing with your friends and all this and being online, but you had to be online. Everybody was in an uproar about it. But actually some of those initial ideas were some of the best ideas they had. It just people weren't used to it. So I think that even though it might be sad that E3 is going away, I'm sure there's going to be another show or another venue that's going to replace that, and it might end up being better. That's all I'm saying.
Well, notice that Microsoft brought back XO, last year.
Right.
You may get another PSX show this year, and it's just I think that you've got things like PAX, and look at the attendance of these companies at now places for the last few years, like Comic-Con. I mean, when think about that presence that you're starting to see. Microsoft always brings these great custom consoles that you can't buy. And De Niro, Gamescom. And so you've got.
Yeah, but Gamescom is not here. I mean, E3 could be like a Gamescom.
Well, that's what they're trying to do, because Gamescom has always been open to the public.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but Sony skips that too, and I think did Microsoft? They didn't do a conference.
Microsoft was there. They have
They
a
just
FanFest.
they just didn't do a conference.
They haven't done a conference at Gamescom since I think it was in 2014 or whatever.
Yeah.
Just to show the second half of games that they didn't announce at E3. But Sony, I think they said that they're going to be at multiple, events, and that's fine. I mean, to me, maybe they're not ready. Yeah, they're going to show the PS5 soon, but maybe by E3, maybe they're just not ready to show all the games all at once at launch.
I don't know about you guys.
Summer, but.
Do you guys do any? I mean, Mike, Chris, Peter. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure that going to the E3, I'm sure that these companies are forking out a lot of money to go to this event.
Oh,
so
sure.
I guess my question is like, in one hand, you got your new console launch, and you've got missing out on E3. To me, the console launch is way up here. So I'm just wondering if it's not a simple matter of business to where they're trying to figure out and market this the best they can, and they'd rather use those resources somewhere else. I mean, maybe that's, I don't know what they spend on E3, but that's a possibility.
That is.
Well, Sony, the last couple of years, the way the changes in management, there's been a lot of stuff that's happened within Sony, PlayStation. They like last year, okay, I understand. It was like, hey, we already announced what games are coming out. There's not a lot going on. There's no point in spending all this money. But even last year, I felt like they should have been there at some kind of presence to where, like, Nintendo will have a booth and you can still go there and you can still play some games that they will show. And sometimes they have little tournaments and so on there, right? Why can't PlayStation still do the same? You can have a presence on the floor. It doesn't have to be a huge, when they were at PAX Out, they showed off Days Gone, which needed to be shown, so they can build up. And that Days Gone was very successful sales-wise, and even, especially even in Japan. So, I feel like they need to have some kind of presence for fans. They can have some interaction. They have studios that are in California. They don't have to fly out, all these people from all around the world to come in. If they're worried about, budgeting, how they're going to, marketing, their games and the new launch throughout the year, they can stagger it out, but at least have some kind of presence at E3. It's just disappointing for the fans. So, like, let's say I'm going to put in for FanFest. If I get in, a good chance I'll go, just knowing that I can get in FanFest, because I want to see, Xbox has been the past few E3s, regardless what people think about, what games that, they have come out, blah, blah. It's like I said, I don't look at E3 and say, oh, this so-and-so, this, they won. I look at it as, these are the games that I liked across all the publishers, no matter who they were. But like, if I go to FanFest, it's going to be cool. I mean, I think this production, the what they set up the stages and all that. And then the people last year they got to see what's his name, Keanu Reeves come on stage.
Right.
And nobody knew about that. It's just nice little surprises like that. You get some nice swag. You know, you get some perks.
You know what's funny too, Chris, about when you go, I guess, and to be to the flip side of that, you know, usually when we go to E3, and this happens for all the console manufacturers, no matter what brand you choose, when you go to the show, they'll show a game and they build up all this hype, and then they'll have a release date, or they'll say coming, you know, such and such date, and they never launch on time. And then, you know, as the months go by, people, all they do is argue about, well, this game doesn't look like what they showed us.
I know, yeah.
You know, so,
yeah.
And I know at other that's another thing at the E3, the one thing that really bugs me, and I love video games. You guys know I do. But I don't like the way...
Do you, John?
Yes.
Do you, John?
I don't like the way the industry lies to us. And I want to explain this. They put up videos of games, they put up Xbox games, PlayStation games, and they give you all this eye candy that's running off PCs most of the time, or that's not running on the final build, and they get everybody's hopes up. And I don't think it's right. Then when the game comes out, like Watch Dogs and other games, oh my God, this looks nothing like, you know, it looks soupy, it looks foggy, you know, so I've kind of always watched E3, and I'm always sitting back thinking, well, what am I even watching here? They're not showing, that's not the real game running. You know, this is an early build, this is running off PC. So I kind of feel like as a consumer, I kind of feel like I'm being lied to. So that's another reason for me that I don't really care about E3, because it just seems like a bunch of hoopla.
So you're saying you bought Aliens Colonial Marines?
It happens every time. We all hear it. You go down Twitter, social media, and possible downgrade for Halo Infinite, possible downgrade for Last of Us 2. You know, his hair color doesn't look right. You know, and
there's a puddle missing.
Yeah, there's a
puddle
missing.
And
it's just like,
Puddles are important.
A lot of this stems from E3 when they show these videos. They're not even showing us accurate stuff. I feel like as a consumer, they're not honest with me. So I have a hard time supporting something like that. You know,
well, I can understand that.
That goes back a long way, though.
It's all marketing. They have to get people's attention.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's so much that they're lying to us, but they.
I get what he's saying, though.
You know, they're going to show you something. But
it just seems kind of cheesy. You know what I mean, Chris?
Well,
it
remember,
like they're being cheesy about it. You know,
that goes back.
They think we're stupid and we're not. You know,
that goes back though to the PlayStation 3 and the infamous Killzone video.
Right.
I mean it's the way of it's what it does is it's supposed to get your attention. That's why all these trailers then right at the bottom in small letters, not representative of the final. They've done that now a lot because they have to, you know, in engine, not necessarily in game, in engine.
Right.
Well, my engine can go 170 miles an hour. I choose not to, but you know
then they've got the exclusive thing. This is a console exclusive. This is a timed console exclusive. This is an exclusive to the exclusive. I mean, it's just it's all show.
It caters to the fans who want to hear exclusive because then they feel good and they can spank their monkeys, you know.
Whoa! Yeah.
I mean, it's
well,
stupid.
there was a chart that said.
But you guys know what I mean. I used to like the idea of the show, but it's become, to me, the last few years, it's just become kind of hokey. You know, I'm sitting there watching it, thinking, "What am I watching?"
I agree with that though. Like I remember distinctly Anthem. You know, like we saw that thing. I was excited about it. We get the game and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like what they showed us, that's like, okay, that's it. Like they showed us one cool thing where you dive underwater and you're flying around in your suit underwater. You do it in the game one time.
You do it in the game.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, on time you do it. And then you're just like, okay, so now what? And then you're trudging around that fucking Fort Tarsus. Like, what? Good God. It looked nothing
Right.
like what we saw on stage at E3. It's just this fucking ugly ass city that has no purpose. Ugh.
No,
I agree, though.
They overhype because they want people's attention. Last year, the developers for BioWare, they were there showing, but they just had a little table, and they signed out. I got a couple things signed, but that was it. You know, they didn't show any gameplay, nothing.
Plus, it'd be nice if E3 was more mobile. I mean, it's always in LA. You know,
Yeah.
It needs if they want
These are
E3
balls
to
like
be
that.
successful, they need to move to the Midwest. They need
That's
to move
right.
to the East Coast. They need, if they really want to make it accessible for fans, then they can get off their high horse and get out of the left coast.
That's right.
And
Like
go to Indiana, and they can go to New York and other places. You know,
that's right. Like a wrestling house show.
Right. I mean, because that's a long trip for me in here to Indiana. I mean, I would, if there was a show and it was closer and they moved around from year to year or something, that would be great. You know?
Well, that's I mean, PAX is like that for me. PAX East is still in Boston, so
Right.
so
It is a good reason to go to Boston, though. Boston's a beautiful city.
I hear
It is.
yeah.
You got
I've been-
Mark Wahlberg.
Hell yeah.
All right, so here's another thing, and so this will bleed into the next and final topic of the night, because it is 11:36, and I did promise Peter we were not going 4 hours.
Is it really?
It is. I know.
You just made him aware of the time. He had no idea until.
I am. Hey,
now.
I am more cognizant now of the time than whenever you were on before, Frankie. Because I got complaints, so I respect my fellow podcast hosts. So I try not to. And Peter did say, let's do a short show, and so far it has not been, but I'm working on it. So
What do you mean? It's only been not even 2 hours yet.
you're right, because we started late. So.
Exactly.
All right, so here's the other thing about Sony, and maybe they know this. Last year they said it outright. We didn't have anything to show. So I said earlier that by the time the show starts, their big game is going to be out. Last of Us 2. Well, shortly around that time, Ghost of Tsushima is going to be out. And here's where I want to segue into the cross-gen discussion. Because I've been trumpeting that cross-gen stuff in this particular generation, and only this generation, is now different than it ever has been. So now, think about when the Xbox One and the PS4 released, right? And you had Watch Dogs, and you had a couple of EA games and stuff like that. The Xbox 360 and PS3 version was a whole separate SKU than the Xbox One and PS4 version. They were totally different engines. They were done by totally different development parts of the development studios, or different teams. And in some cases, they had even different features. So now, that's gone. Microsoft has already said, they said this, Matt Booty said this like 2 weeks ago. He said for the first couple of years of the Xbox Series X are going to be, downward scalable or compatible with the current series of Xbox consoles. And to be quite honest, I would be surprised. I'm going to die on this hill too. I am almost positive that
You're like custard.
every game custard.
Yeah.
You said custard.
I did. I'm hungry. Sorry.
Right.
Hey, they have custard at Bob's Big Boy.
I was just about to say that.
You met Custer at the first E3, right?
Oh God. So anyway, I still am dying on the hill that the PS5 and the Xbox One Series X, those games are going to play on the PS4 and the Xbox One for many, many years, if not much later into the generation, when those machines just can't physically chug it anymore, and they dump them because you can't play a game at 5 frames per second. But for the foreseeable future, what you are adding in to get up to those other consoles is better frame rates, ray tracing, some of those graphical pieces. But by the time the PS5 comes out, you're going to be able to take your Ghost of Tsushima disc that you've been playing on your PS4 and your Last of Us 2 that you've been playing on your PS4, and you're going to be able to, it's either going to digitally show up on your PS5 to download, or you're going to be able to take your disc and throw it in the PS5, and it's going to launch the game or download the game or whatever, and you'll get the faster load times and all that stuff. I know where you're going, Frankie, and I want to hear it. I want to hear this opinion from you. But Halo Infinite is going to play on both consoles. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is going to play on the Xbox One. All the games that you are buying between now and November are going to play on these new consoles, and I'm telling you, Hellblade 2 is going to play on my X just fine. Godfall is going to play on the PS4 or the PS Pro in some fashion just fine. Down to 1080p, 900p, what have you. Maybe 30 frames per second versus 60 on the PS5, but they will play and you won't have to buy them twice. That's the difference between then and now. And maybe Sony understands that as well, and they know we're not going to launch with a bunch of crazy PS5 exclusive games that aren't going to play on previous gen consoles. And to be honest with you, we're not holding anything. They're not going to delay The Last of Us 2 to November. It's not happening. So, talk to me about cross-gen, and does that, by the way, change your thought process in getting those consoles, say, day one?
Oh, this is a nice one.
Who do you want to go first?
Yeah, you pick, Mike.
I actually kind of want you to go first, Frankie, because
Right.
I think you have a contrarian opinion on this.
Sort of. Sony's kind of notorious for charging people as many times as possible, like Nintendo. Both of them are guilty of the same thing, where they're going to resell you the same game as many times as they can. So I could maybe see if the PS5 is backwards compatible. If you bought the game physically, you could toss that disc in, but I would be shocked if they allowed a digital, if you bought it digitally on the PS4, that you're going to be able to play a upgraded PS5 version digitally, because they could just sell you one instead, because it's Sony and that's what they like to do. But here's the thing though. Like I was talking to one of my buddies at work the other day about this, because we have the Series X and the PS5 coming out, and when the PS4 and the Xbox One are coming out, we're all really excited, right? Like, hell yeah, dude, brand new systems. It's been last generation was 10 years long, so we're ready at that point. So this time around though, because we did these mid-gen refreshes, and for all intents and purposes, the Xbox One X is basically a new Xbox. That thing blows the original Xbox One out of the water. So that thing's been on the market for 3 years now, and I don't feel like I'm even getting out of that thing yet what it's capable of putting out. So for me, looking at it, I'm like, okay, the new Xbox is coming out, but what has come out that's really pushed the X to its limits? I honestly can't think of anything. Maybe Gears of War 5, but I think that there's a lot more life in that console, and because we did these mid-gen refreshes, for me personally, it's detracted my excitement for buying another box this year, even though it's technically the next generation. And it's the same with the PS5, because I bought a Pro and I'm like, all right, well, this thing could probably, we could probably still get more performance out of this thing, so And like John was kind of briefly talking about earlier, like you go back to the whole E3 thing. Like when these are when the PS4 and Xbox One were coming out, it was all 60 frames a second and 1080p. Like this far in the generation, we still have games struggling to run at a locked 60 frames. And now you're talking about 120 frames. It's like I ain't falling for this shit again. Like we went through this before. You still haven't delivered on the promises from last time. So now I'm just gonna hope that these new boxes will be able to run everything at 60 frames without a problem. I don't want to hear about 120 frames. Just give me the stuff that you promised me in the first place, and then we'll worry about the next thing, right? I don't know. So I just coming back around though. Like I feel like you have to there has to be more bleed over though, right? Because like you talk about how there's going to be cross-gen games, but you have games like Destiny, you have games like Rainbow Six Siege that have like 10-year plans. Like these developers have pumped a lot of resources into continuing these games, and last generation, this current generation really is like the rise of prominent online games like Destiny, Warframe, all those types of games that have very active communities with millions of players. Like they're not just going to flush those people out in the next year or two because they haven't upgraded to a new system. And in a lot of ways, I think a lot of us are fine with that. Like I know the people playing Destiny that's become like the thing that they just play now. They're not branching out and playing as many other games as before because there's this one continuously supported game that they're playing that it has no signs of slowing down anytime soon. So I just think like the momentum coming into this new generation just doesn't feel like it's as prominent as it was, any generation prior to this new one.
Yeah,
I agree.
And don't get me wrong, and I want to, De Niro says cross-gen doesn't change my opinion on being day one buyer. I'll be buying day one given I have the money, LOL, for the frame rates, ray tracing, and faster load times. That is, there's nothing wrong with that. SSD, Peter and I think, talked about this towards the end of last month. SSD has the ability to be a game changer, right? Peter?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
and I think the ray tracing is going to be pushed like the whole HDR stuff was, going on to the Xbox One S and the X. It's a difference where enough to, if they show it right, you're gonna be people who like new tech and all that. Prettier pictures are like, oh, okay, I'll buy it. But I'm on the same camp as Frankie. Is that like we had the mid-fresh consoles that came out, and here we are. We're already talking about the next gen consoles, and it's like, well, we just had these awesome consoles that just came out, very capable, and the games look beautiful. They play well. It's just like these people that rush into a new game, and then 2 weeks later they're already, well, okay, what's next? Completely forgot about an awesome game that just came out 2 weeks before. But for me, I'm gonna get the Series X day one. I don't plan on getting a PS5 and 21. It's a lot of money for me, even though I can afford it, but I need to space it out and get situated with the Xbox first. Because I love the fact that I can bring my library over, and I can still play the same games, so I'm not locked to having to buy new games all over again. I can still try to work on my backlog on the Series X, and I'm sure they're going to have games that are going to start getting enhanced to that and so on. So, but at the same time, I also see that there's no need to really jump on the next gen, or like Mike, you've always said, we're really, the way things are now, it's more like the next iteration. And maybe that's why Sony's not making a big deal about it. Like, oh, we got to go to E3 because we need to sell that next gen, because they already know that, if they are going to be back compatible, which we've heard, and if if people can still play their PS4 games on the PS5, I think Sony is probably confident that they're going to sell a lot of PS5s to the hardcore at first, and that they're able to convince the Call of Duty players out there that, hey, you need a PS5 to play the new Call of Duty, then but then again, they can probably still play it on PS4 Pros and the Xbox One X. So I don't see a reason to rush to jump on the new consoles that are coming out. And like Frankie said, it's kind of crazy how you got games that are still supported for 10 years. It's crazy. It doesn't make financial sense to sit there and, all right, PS5's coming out. You got to buy games that are only for PS5 when you still have.
It's raid night, fam.
Yeah, it's like the new gen stuff is normally hardcore jumps in it first, right? We're a small percentage of gamers. So what? The first year they might sell 5, maybe 10 million if they're lucky, and so you got all the rest of 90% of gamers out there who have not jumped to the new gen, but they can't play the new game. How does that make sense for a developer when they want to try to make as much money as they can, but they're only going to make a new game for about 10 million people? Doesn't make sense. So to be able to have these games available to be cross-gen, and people on the older systems and the new systems can all still enjoy the same game, and that developer and that publisher are going to make a shitload of money to keep it that way, at least for a couple more years. So,
man, I'm telling you what, I'm kind of torn. I agree with everybody, and then I have some other thoughts on it too. I mean, the mid-gen refreshes, like when I first got my day one Xbox One, thoroughly enjoyed that system. I had it. I didn't have a PlayStation yet. Then I bought the Xbox Slim, and then I ended up getting a PS4 eventually. But as far as the Xbox side, I had the Xbox One, then they had the Xbox Slim, then they come out with the Xbox One X, and now just a couple years later, it's the Xbox Series X. Well, I didn't buy the Xbox One. I didn't buy the Xbox One X because I knew that the new system was coming out. So I just stayed with my Xbox Slim. And for me, I think I made the right decision on that, because I'm actually a little more excited about the Series X coming out now because I skipped the last console. With that being said, I got my PlayStation, I got the Pro, and usually I'm an early adapter. And so I like to get out there day one and buy all the consoles, and because I just love games and consoles. The problem is they need to be real careful when they do these mid-gen refreshes, because they're doing multiple ones. They're doing 2, 3, and 4 of them within 6 years. I'm traditional, and I almost wish they'd go back to the good old days where they went ahead and future-proofed the console a little bit more, came out with one console that was good for the entire 6 years. Forget about the mid-gen refreshes. Because like you guys have mentioned, they're not even utilizing the power of the consoles. Like Frankie mentioned, they're not even using their full potential now, but yet they're wanting to sell you another console this coming fall. So, I think that they're getting a little carried away with these mid-gen refreshes. And to me, they're just like sucking the money out of you. I mean, if they make a decent console, and maybe if it's a little pricier up front, I would rather have one console that lasts for 6 or 7 years versus 2 or 3 renditions of a console. That's just me. And when new consoles come out, I wouldn't necessarily say that games have to have exclusives, but exclusives are very important to me. And like even Tommy Tallarico said, you have to have a reason to sell your console. If you're going to come out with a new console, you're going to have all this hype, say, hey, this has got an SSD in it. This is 3.2 gigahertz. It's 12 teraflops. It can fly to the moon. Well, I better see some games. If I'm going to put down the cash on it, I want to see some exclusive games at launch, because that does make a difference to me. The exclusive games sell consoles, and Nintendo knows this better than anybody. That's why that's why Nintendo does well. That's why they can put that little Switch out on the market That's why it's underpowered. That's why it's selling phenomenally. It outsold all the consoles as far as game sales last year, or console sales. So obviously they can take an underpowered system and they know how to sell that. And it's the games that matter most. So for me, I'm not saying everything, I'm not saying to abandon the older systems, but it's these companies' fault that they put all these older systems out to begin with. You don't need 2 or 3 renditions. So you get people today that they're like, well, I'm just now getting my first Xbox One. Where were you the last 6 years? Is that my fault that 7 years later you're just now getting around buying an Xbox One? Don't hold back the next generation of games because of that. So I guess I've got a lot of different. I agree with all of you on all kinds of different issues, but I just feel like that too many versions of each console are coming out. Just way too many.
You make a good point, but I think like last gen, the TV market really didn't, move a lot, right? And when you got into the HD, TVs, but other than that, it wasn't a big push. That's why last gen you didn't really see a reason for them to, they updated the consoles, right? I think on the software side to where hey, now you can you can hook up the HDMI and hey, it looks better in 1080. But when this gen started, I guess they weren't ready for the 4K, but the 4K just took off, and I think the TV market kind of helps push the gaming market to where hey, we got all these people buying these new TVs, they want to see 4K. Well, now you got to make consoles for 4K, and that's why we get that mid-gen refresh because of the 4K.
You got to admit, though, like I'm getting older. Sometimes I forget, Chris. I forget which editions I've got of the consoles. I have to turn around and like, now which one do I have?
But it's like I had a PS4 Slim and I had a PS4 Pro, and honestly, I didn't think that was a big leap. But going from the Xbox One to the Xbox One X, it was. It definitely was a big difference, and
it
That's
was.
the other.
But the
weird thing
Xbox One and the Xbox Slim wasn't much of a leap. If you look at the original Xbox One to the Slim version, and you look at the specs on both consoles, there's little upgrade there. So and I agree with you. The PS4 and the PS4 Pro, there's not much there. I agree with that. That's why I kind of question when they came out with the Xbox One X. When they did, because the Series X is now released, and it just seemed like it was crammed together. And a lot of people, they were like, oh, John doesn't like Xbox anymore because he didn't get the Xbox One X. No, that's not the case. I've already bought 2 Xbox consoles, and I got a third one I'm going to be buying this fall. So it was like, for me, I had to put a stop to it. I thought, man, 4 consoles in 7 years, or whatever. That's, you gotta make a decision.
This has been
it's the same thing with phones.
Right.
You get a new phone every other year.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and they're like, it's the old programs still run up to a certain version. I mean, but it's following that model.
It's 2 completely different approaches to how a mid-gen refresh should have been done. Like Sony's was like a lot of people said like a very half-step thing, which I think was the intention, right? Like you need a console that's not exactly the thing you brought out before, but something that'll kind of make things a little nicer to push you through the next 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. Whereas Microsoft like I said before, like the X, for all intents and purposes, was a new console when it came out. Just I said, like that thing is nothing. That thing blows the original one out of the water.
Well, and that was the point. It was their apology console.
Mm-hmm.
It was Phil Spencer's, I'm sorry that we launched the Xbox One, because look at all the things they took away from it. And I know Peter and I are kind of going back and forth about it, but I mean, they're still manifesting that in the X. If that picture is anything, the next thing to go is the HDMI pass through. So what Phil has done, and look, to his credit, he has turned around what has been a really rough ride for Microsoft, and he's got them in a great position. I mean, look at the studios and the games. I mean, Ninja Theory. I'm going to play this video real quick while we're talking. Ninja Theory just announced a third game. You guys remember over the fall when they announced, or maybe it was the last E3 when they announced Bleeding Edge, and everybody thought, oh God, here we go. Ninja Theory's getting cut off at the knees because they're owned by Microsoft, and now they're going to make free Battle Royale games. And all of a sudden, here comes Hellblade 2, and now this new game called Project Mara. So, don't get me wrong. But it's come at the expense of what Microsoft launched with in 2013. So Microsoft has been trying to apologize for the Xbox One for years, and the X was that apology console. No ability to even plug the Kinect into it. You can't even find the adapter anymore. So, that is, they have distanced themselves from 2013 Microsoft. And but to Peter's point too, we're now in this mobile phone, the cell phone era, where it's a lot of the same specs. They're not, and I keep saying this, and people keep going, Mike, you don't know what you're talking about. The consoles are not moving to new platforms. We're not going from the Xbox, which was a Pentium 3 processor, to the Xbox 360, which was a Power PC, whole different architecture, then to the PC x86 architecture it is now. The same thing with the PlayStation. It didn't go from a custom chip to the cell processor to PC. We're going PC going forward. These are set-top boxes. These are basically PCs in a set-top form, and that's why you're able to see a lot of this cross-gen stuff that you haven't seen before, where it's going to be one game that's going to play amongst all these things.
Yeah, I agree. And why? What confuses me is, why is it that Xbox had to come out and say, well, we're going to support the Xbox One for at least a year, and then we're going to move on. Why do they have to say that when, like you're saying, we know that they don't have to? I mean, the Xbox One could be supported for years.
Yeah.
And the games can still be scaled down and optimized for. Plus you got the xCloud.
There's that as well.
You can
all
play
those
stream
things
games
are
on
great.
lesser hardware for years. I mean, we're now getting xCloud on our mobile phones, and you're playing a lot of these games you're playing on Xbox, on your consoles.
I know one thing, like if when I get the Xbox Series X and when I get the PlayStation 5, if there are exclusives for either one, like if they've got an exclusive for the Xbox Series X, I'm not going to feel bad about that. Even if I had, let's say if I hadn't, I can't, let's say if I couldn't afford to get the Series X right away, I wouldn't be mad if they decided to come out with an exclusive game for that system. I would think, cool, because I want to see what that new system can do. So I'm going to buy the Series X. I'm going to get the PS5, and I'm hoping to God that I see something that I haven't seen before this fall. I want to see something that's pushing these systems. That's why I'm working hard, and that's why I spend my money on this stuff. I want to see that. And
I think we still will, even if you still have cross-gen.
And I mean that's
think
how it
Halo
worked
Infinite
before,
is
guys.
gonna
I
be
mean,
awesome.
You know, all the years of Chris and Peter, all the years that we've gamed. Before, what did we do? We played our games, and then when a new console came out, you bought the new games, you know, and you moved on. You know, you
lost all your old library. Well,
right.
You put them in storage and moved on.
But you could definitely see a difference in the games, though. You could see, you know, like when you went from the Saturn to like the Sega Dreamcast, you could see the quality. You could see that. So I didn't mind having to buy new games for that system. It was worth it. You know, so for me, that was what made me want to buy the next system.
I think you're going to be disappointed with the next gen systems. I mean, some of them will be fine. You know, we'll see
but I'm hoping
ray tracing and stuff. But you know, people will have to have Digital Foundry and saying like, oh, before, after. You know, System 1, System 2 comparison to saying like, oh yeah, I bought the right system. And yeah.
But if you hear, gamers, and I agree with Peter, and we may be disappointed, but we hear all the time like, oh, I want better frame rates. I want 120 frames per second. I want to see it in 4K or 8K, and I want it to be steady, whatever. People want that, but then they say, well, I don't want it to have exclusive games. How are you going to get that if you don't make games designed specifically for the new console? It's not going to happen. So if Peter might be right. We might be setting ourselves up for a disappointment, because if you think you're going to get a game running 120 frames per second, unless they make a game solely for that new console, I don't think we're going to see that. I don't think they're going to spend the time to make all these different versions of games. No. They're going to make a game for the lowest common denominator, and you may see some little upgrades in visual fidelity and stuff like that, but I think in order to see what these new systems can do, they're going to have to build something specifically designed for the new system.
Well, it's kind of like Mike was saying, though. Like, if we're on PC architecture now, like updating a PC game, like for developers, isn't as complicated as going back and like having to work between custom chipsets, and you have like custom.
Look at Cyberpunk right now, all the trouble they're having, and the developers are saying the rumor is now that both the PS4 and the Xbox One are giving them issues, and that's what's now. I don't know if that's true.
No, and it does. But even Cory Barlog took issue with that today and said, all games have that until they go gold. So but here's the thing that there's two different. I totally get that. But here's where I think both companies are going in different directions, and Dinero just took my thunder. What Microsoft is going to do with Halo Infinite, because it's coming out when the console launches, they are shooting for Series X, and it will scale down to whatever. Same with Hellblade 2. That is gonna be built for the Xbox Series X. But to Frankie's point, because you're on the same you're not exact, you're in the same architecture. So you're in that PC realm. Hellblade will be able to scale down to match what the X and maybe even the S. Take the OG out of the mix. That console is going away. Yeah. That console.
But even the Slim, Mike, that's only like 2.5 teraflops, from 12 teraflops to 2.5 teraflops. I mean, something's going to suffer.
Absolutely.
That's 10.
And also, that console doesn't do 4K either.
Right. Yes. Right. So, but I think that is how they're going to market. I don't believe that they're ever going to cut off and say, you know what, the Xbox One S can't run this game. What they're going to say is, the Xbox S, you can launch this game. It's going to be 900p or 720p 30, because that's all this thing could do with this super game we've got. If you really, and the X, okay, the X will do it in 4K 30, but man, if you really want to see this game as we intended it, it's kind of like going to the movies and the filmmaker says, hey, if you really want to see this movie the way I did, the way I thought of it, go see it in IMAX. Don't go see it at the dollar theater. This is going to be the same kind of thing. If you really want to play Halo Infinite as 343 Industries has imagined that game, then you need to play it on the Series X. Will it play on an X? Yes. Will it look beautiful on an X? Yes. But you're not gonna get ray tracing.
You get 4K 30.
You might get or you might get
Your load times will be will be minutes.
Yes.
Seconds.
Halo Infinite will be 60 frames. I mean, they did that with Gears, but like you said.
Well, but the X,
me, the big push. Huh? Gears
5 was
60.
It was, but the campaign on the S was only 30 frames per second.
Oh yeah, yes.
So,
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
I mean that's how I think they sell. That's how I think they sell it, and I think PlayStation's going to do the same thing. Now, where PlayStation is weirdly different, and I think though it has to do with the fact that the games are coming out before the system is they said specifically The Last of Us 2 was targeting the base console. And I think what's going to happen is they will scale that up, but they have to because they're launching that before the PS5 comes out. And people don't understand that. There's not us. You guys understand when I say people.
Right.
The people who are complaining on social media that are going, I'm not buying a PS5. Then they're not making games for it. That's not it. Godfall will take advantage of the PS5 hardware, but there is no way in hell that they are not going to sell that game to the 100 million base of the PS4. No fucking way.
Here's my counter argument to that. So
bring it.
Back when the new consoles launched, Borderlands the pre-sequel came out, and they made this conscious decision to only release it initially on the PS3 and 360 because you had millions and millions of players versus the PS4 and Xbox One that were just on the market for 3 months at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So in retrospect to them, that game didn't sell very well because people were ready to move on to the next console generation. So it wasn't until they did the Handsome Collection that a lot of people didn't actually even play the pre-sequel. And I think the same thing kind of started happening with Assassin's Creed. They saw oh, we made this game for last generation, people didn't buy it, so that's when they started kind of going all in on the new stuff. Granted, I don't think it's going to be that drastic this time around because, like I said, you're talking about you have to have overlap because of all these live service games. But I think even going back to talking about exclusive games for these things, Microsoft has always been a very social focused console, whereas PlayStation's more of a single player thing. So I think Microsoft can get away with saying, okay, well, the new Halo's coming out, it's going to work across these systems, not going to be exclusive to the brand new system, because people are playing Halo for the multiplayer. Whereas Sony comes out, they're saying, okay, Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is going to be a PlayStation 5 launch exclusive. You're not going to think anything of it. You're going to be like, oh, hell yeah, I got to get a PS5 because, you have this expectation of, they're going to have a game out that's going to look fucking incredible. There's no multiplayer component to it, though, so you're not isolating any players on this that could buy this game on this other system because they don't have the player base where they're worrying about, okay, well, we want people playing this game, we want to build a large community around it, so we need the existing player base of the last generation where they're getting the same game, they're getting to play the same game with their friends on whatever system they're playing on, whereas Sony's focus doesn't necessarily have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny, up until the last 7 or 8 years, console generations never worked like this. So I don't know how we made it before, and I still stand up on my mountain like Mike does on his. I think you got to have exclusives. You're coming out with a new product. I mean, the best way, if you think back at one of the greatest launches, if I were to ask Mr. Mullis, and I said, what's one of the best console launches, and he will agree with me, the Dreamcast, because he'll remember that launch lineup. And
for the rest of my life.
That's what people bought that console for. When we were growing up playing games, like I said, once the console generation was done, you bought the next one. It was the natural order things. And we were paying $3.99 for the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn 25 years ago. So price can't be the issue. So if someone says, well, I bought a console 6 years ago, $3.99, well, you did that 25 years ago. So, the prices haven't really changed that much. And even if it's an extra $100 or $200, fast forward 30 years later, I just don't feel like, sooner or later you got to move forward. And I want to see console exclusives for the Series X and the PS5. I'll be very upset if I buy both of them and I don't get something from the Series X and the PS5 that takes advantage of. And I'm not saying that it necessarily has to be solely exclusive, but it better take advantage of it because we all work hard for our money, and I want to see the games take advantage of it. I don't want to wait 2 or 3 years because guess what? They'll have another console refresh, and then they'll have the Xbox Series XX, and they'll have the PS5. I guarantee it.
There's rumors of a PS5 Pro that might be.
I know.
It's like what? But you know, I get what you're saying, John, about the whole that exclusive. You need exclusive reason why to jump. You want to see the advantage,
Right.
but you look back then, you know, how everything is all physical, right?
Right.
So now we're in the digital era.
How
We're on
much
social media,
Right.
and right. So I think that plays a big part of it because people have a big digital library nowadays,
Well,
and we're in that PC structure. And so since Xbox has already shown that if we could carry these libraries forward, they could go back and grab games off the OG and the 360 and move them forward with us, and but also able to put the old disc in too. So people are not looking at these newer gens. Depending on where you're at. Like I see where you're coming from, but if people who have built up this huge library over the years, they're like, I want to bring this library with me. I want to play my backlog. And
I guess I'm good with that, Chris. Like if you took, I don't know, maybe Mike, you guys could help me out. If you took the Xbox, the original one, the Xbox Slim, the Xbox One S, and now the Xbox Series X, and give me the launch prices and add all that up. How much, let's say if a person bought each one of those within the 7 or 8 year period, how much money has a gamer spent on all those 4 consoles?
Oh, I'll tell you
Same
right
thing
now.
as- Same
plus
thing
the
as
games.
spending-
Well, what I'm getting at, do you think that's really fair for these console companies to do that to us?
Well, hang on.
I mean, how many consoles do you need in 7 or 8 years?
Yeah, let Peter get
that's
in on
the
that.
point.
How many you want to buy?
Well,
You are not forced to buy a Slim. You're not forced to buy an S. You're not
right, but
forced to
then
buy
you
an
can't.
X.
Then so
You can
exclusives
still
really shouldn't
play it
matter.
on your
'Cause
OG.
if you got money to buy 4 consoles in 8 years, you can get the console and you can get exclusives.
Yeah, I think exclusive matters to the hardcore gamers more so. You know, people like that stuff. You know,
Right.
because we're the ones that buy the new consoles.
But here's the thing: when we're talking about exclusives, we're no longer talking about them being tied to a single device. Now we're talking exclusives across the brand. Don't get me wrong. Microsoft purchased. Right. Thank you. Ecosystem. Microsoft just brought their internal studios up to 15. And now that these games that were purchased, like when they purchased Compulsion, and the We Happy Few was coming out to the next gen of to all consoles. Right. Their next game's not. Double Fine has already said our next games are Xbox only. After Wasteland, whatever InXile is working on is going to be, Xbox only. So Hellblade 2 is Xbox only. That's not coming to PS5. So Microsoft and Sony, these guys have their studios. Those studios are going to be putting out games. What I think you're going to see in this round and going forward is I have these games, the mentality like a PC gamer. How are these games going to look if I go out and buy a 1080 Ti or a 2500 S3X, 2080 or whatever the hell, what's this going to look like?
Soon a 3080.
Right.
Okay.
What's this game going to look like? Yeah, what's this game going to look like if I upgrade my rig to a Ryzen chip? And I think the
Well, I guess what I'm saying, instead of buying 4 consoles and spending like $2,000 within 7 years, you might as well buy the PC then. You see what I'm saying?
But you have to.
You see what I'm saying? They're kind of forcing you
into
that mindset.
Ti, and then within 2 years you have your 2080. Then next year you'll buy your 3080.
You're kind of.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I guess I'm
the highest frame rates.
Well, so, but I get what John's
I'm just
saying.
looking out for the gamer. If Peter, if he goes out and buys his Series X, I want him to be happy with it. I want you, Mike, if you get it, and I want you, Chris, if you guys go out there, and I want to be happy, but I also want to get my money's worth. And if I've already purchased like a couple grand worth of consoles in 7 years, this one then there's another, whatever these consoles cost, so probably be $400 or $500. There's another $400 or $500, and you start adding all that up, and then you add up the services and what you're paying for this, and it's like, my God, I just want.
But now the beauty is you're not forced to buy the Series X because your games still run on the X and the S.
Right, but you know how it is as a gamer. Nobody wants to play on the old stuff for too long. It's like dangling that carrot in front of you.
Yeah, nobody wants yesterday's phone. They all want the new phone.
Right. And
So,
little Johnny's going to be begging his parents. He's going to want the new Series X.
But I'll tell you, though, the question is going to be, you're in I think the prime position that Microsoft is honestly looking at. You have an OG, you have an original Xbox One.
Yes.
You skipped the X, right?
Right. I've got the original Xbox One, and I've got 2 Xbox Slims.
All right. So you are going to see I love how I'm using my hands today. You are going to see a much larger difference. You're going to get a much bigger return on the Series X. Right. You're gonna get a much bigger leap in stop it. Jazz hands. Right.
Oh, wait. Connect is no longer supported.
Thank you, Peter.
Jazz hands, everybody.
Thank you, Peter. See, Peter knows. I can't play Fantasia, so this is me playing. Okay, look. No, you going from the Xbox One Slim and the S and you're going to get a larger return on investment in the Series X because the difference that you're going to see is going to be much larger.
And I did that on purpose too because I knew that the Series X was coming, and that's why I didn't get the X. I thought, well, if it's going to come out just two or 3 years later, I might as well hold off.
Right, and so that's the right. I am a hypocrite. I criticized it, and then I went out and bought an X. I may have culped this. I went out, but to be honest
you've
with
been
you,
enjoying that, right?
I'll tell you the difference between the OG Xbox and the X is also.
Well, here's another thing: you didn't buy the S.
I did not buy the S.
You didn't? Oh wow!
I did not. I didn't know
that. Mike.
I have a day one Xbox One, and I have a Project Scorpio, and the difference between the Xbox One and the X is noticeable, and I mean substantially noticeable.
Let me tell you when I got mine. I was playing Monster Hunter with Crazy One, so I was playing it on the. I'm guilty of buying 3 Xbox Ones myself. I bought a launch one. I bought the Gears S when it came out, and I got an X after I told myself I wouldn't. But I was playing Monster Hunter, and I remember the first time I fired that game up on the X, I was blown away. It visually, performance-wise, it was like playing a brand new version of that game. So Mike is right. Like when you buy the next Xbox console that you get, like the stuff that you have now, whatever they're going to come out with, I think you're going to be very happy with what you get visually and performance-wise. As far as exclusives go, obviously, like Mike said, we're getting into more of this ecosystem thing where, it's going to be Xbox exclusive, but that's going to cover more ground. But
Frankie, I don't like to trade things in. I've been reading the comments in the chat. People are like, you can trade it in. I never trade anything because no matter what you do, you're always losing money when you trade something in.
Oh sure.
Every
Every
time. So money. Why would I go out and buy a $400 or $500 console, knowing the new one's coming back and they're going to give me like $100, $150 at GameStop? I've just lost $350. So I'm not falling for that. So if the trade-in thing, I'm not that dumb. That's why I keep all my consoles.
Sure.
So that's what irritates me when they come out with so many consoles in a row, because I'm not going to trade it in because I'm losing money. Well, and I don't like losing money.
And look, I like I said, I got a tangible. The S to the X is a tangible upgrade. Absolutely. I don't believe that the X to the Series X is going to be there. It's just not going to have that stair step. The one thing that will make a large difference, admittedly, is the SSD drive. The load times,
Right.
that is going to be that's a definite. But honestly, I am not going to play Halo Infinite and go, well, this doesn't have ray tracing, so it sucks. The X is going to run that game just fine.
I think you. I'm saying it right now. I think you will. You're going to see that ray tracing and the load times. I bet you're going to see people streaming. That's going to be a big difference.
The load times, I will grant you. Even Super Cooper, I've
seen some ray tracing. I've seen some ray tracing stuff.
But is it $600? Is it $600 right after buying an X?
I mean, it's all options, right? I mean, to me, look, I know John feels like we're being forced. He's all these. I don't feel that way because I feel like it's an option that I'm. It's like me going from let me look at it like my Mustangs.
I don't think we're being forced. I think they're being. I think they're being sneaky about it. They're dangling a shiny object in front of you and saying, but you don't have to buy it.
Let Chris finish.
They want your money, right? So, if I look at a Mustang, I'll buy me a V6 Mustang. I'm like, it's cool. It looks cool on the outside, but it doesn't go that fast. All right. So now I'm like, well, the guy in the GT just passed me, and I can't keep up with him. So let me jump over to the GT, and then you get on GT, and then the guy in the Cobra, Shelby Cobra, passes you up, and let me jump onto that. But it's all.
And you got the guy in the base model Camaro just zipping right past all of you.
Right. No, he's broken down on the side of the road. But no, I mean, I've always looked at all these options, and when I look at the Series X, I think it's gonna be a big. I think we're gonna be surprised.
And the reason I bought 2 Xbox Slims is so my wife could game with me, and we could game together on separate consoles. That's the whole reason that I got that.
I bought an OG, I bought an S, and I bought an X, and I'm not gonna trade them in. Back in the day, like when we had physical, people traded it in. You had a little bit better. GameStop was a little bit better back in the day to where they give you a little bit more for it, but over time now they started ripping people off, and then you got people like Nate who learned how to rip them off. So it's no surprise they're going out of business. But so I look at it as okay, I bought an S, but I'm still gonna get my money worth out of it because we use it. I have it in the living room, and we use it for Netflix, whatever. And my wife, my daughter plays on it over there.
It's our Disney Plus box.
Yeah, and I have the X in my game room, and I use that mainly for gaming. But now that when I get to Series X, I'm going to move the S to my youngest daughter's room. I'm going to put the X in the living room, because now I'm going to have a better, I can maybe stream in 4K. It has better Wi-Fi, blah, blah, blah. And now the Series X is going in my game room. So I'm utilizing all these consoles for what I need. It's for me, and I think a lot of people out there who have bought multiple consoles are doing the same thing. Because when you got kids, like I gave my OG Xbox, I knew it was gonna get shit for that. At GameStop, I gave it to my nephew, so it went to good use for him.
Right. That's what I always do with my old consoles. Is I have friends who just don't get around to buying whatever. Yeah. Like I gave my Gears to one of my coworkers, so I game share with him. So usually I'll buy whatever and we'll play whatever. But I do the same thing.
But I'm getting all of them day one. So when I get my Series X and my PS5, and then I got to get that Amico too, I'm going to be spending so much money. These systems better cook dinner for me.
I didn't even plan on an Amico.
Well, and see that's the nice thing about having spent $1,000 on Xbox in the last 5 years is I can switch over to the Amico. I mean, that is my winter, that is my fall 2020 console. And I have no regrets about it, and I'm not kidding. I am waiting to see what happens with the Founders Edition, to see when that gets announced. That is mine, and that's going to be what I get this year. I am not going to. It's funny. I had money set aside, and my wife said, "Well, don't you need this money for? I thought you were getting new consoles this year." I said, "I am getting an Amico." She said, "What about the new Xbox thingy?" I said, the more I thought about it, the more it doesn't make sense for me right now. It just doesn't. It makes sense for you, John. It totally does because you skipped the X. But I think those of us with X's are not going to have that big of a deal.
Do you think you can wait till the mid-gen refresh for the Xbox, Mike? Or will you?
I probably
Is that what
could.
your plan is? Or
well, I probably could. And if they start going down this route, because they see, Peter hit the nail on the head. They see what happens with the phones, and they see people lined up for look, the iPhone's $1,000 a pop. And every crazy Apple fan out there lines up for days on end to get the new iPhone.
The only difference is
not the new one.
The only difference is with the phones, they factor your phone payment. Like my last phone I got was like $1,100, but they put that in with my monthly bill, so that's not like money. I don't see that as much because it's added into my. They made it easier for me. I don't feel it as
they hide it so you don't.
They hide it. Yes,
you don't.
You're paying for it, but they're hiding.
Right.
Yeah.
Denaro says they'll get Mike just by releasing a custom console Series X he can actually buy.
Yeah.
And he said Xbox has all access, so they've got that.
Yeah. They're looking at doing the same thing. So like right now, you can go get an Xbox One X on Access, enjoy it for a while, and then when the Series X comes out, you can go trade it in, and then you start making payments on the Series X.
Plus, these consoles are like my babies, man. When you buy them, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I get you open up the console, you rip out your Xbox or PlayStation, you smell the plastic, you're excited, you got tears of joy. So, I mean, how could I ever get rid of that? That's why I don't like trading my stuff in.
And now you plug in that system, hook it up, and you spend the night downloading updates.
I get attached to the system because for console players, we do get attached to our consoles. We get attached to our games. And I think that's the difference between a PC player and a console player. It's more relevant, I think, with the console player. We buy these consoles and you're all stoked and you're excited and you finally get it. Well, that's your puppy. PC gamers, they're just constantly updating and everything else. I think console gamers are different. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the way I am, No,
I don't. I don't think so. I agree with you. I think that they get emotionally. Look, if they didn't get emotionally attached, Twitter would be a much better place.
Yeah.
Again, it's funny because I'm not disparaging anybody who is getting these consoles day one. Not at all. Because, I know Chris is. I know John is. But I just know that we're in a different era. And I feel like that we've crossed into a Rubicon of we're going to get updates to these things like stereo systems and cell phones and TVs. You're going to get the next great addition of the Xbox and the PlayStation, the PS5 Pro and the Xbox Series XX. Those will come out in 2 or 3 years because we're in a position to do that. The whether or not, how far forward games are going to play backwards is really the question. And I think that one of the things that we've seen from Microsoft and Sony have two different angles on this. I think Sony wants you to go to the PS5 because I think they know people are ready to leave the PS4 forward. However, they're smart enough to know I can't not pay attention to that base. So they're betting
4 million. Base?
Right. They're betting, yes, and they're betting on that idea of I'm going to play The Last of Us 2 now, or I'm going to wait and maybe even buy it later, and they might sacrifice some sales up front to get it closer to when the PS5 launches, and they'll buy that game knowing that if I want to see it looking better than I could look on my base PS4, I'm going to get it on the PS5. They're taking a gamble with that. Microsoft, I think, is very comfortable with, because you got to remember too, they have Game Pass, and you are not going to be able to effectively segment out, well, this part of Game Pass is only going to run on the Series X, and this part of Game Pass will be open. You can't do that. You can't charge people $10 a month and tell them that they can't play.
Maybe in the future you can with xCloud.
True.
Like, hey, those games don't play on your console anymore, or
but
not as well. So,
well, that's like any kind of service. That's like Netflix and stuff too, though. Anytime you have a service thing, they have the power to take things or remove things or add things anytime they want, and that's why I'm skeptical of things like that. Because how many times have you guys got on Netflix and you're like, oh man, my favorite TV series, it's not on there anymore, and it just poof, gone. So that's the one thing that I have trouble with the services, because you don't know when they're going to pull that,
Yeah, true.
Well,
but say Game
does
X is
announce
all of a
it.
sudden they yank Game X,
Right.
after it's been in there for 6 months. Now you can buy Game X for pennies on the dollar.
Although I don't.
50% off.
Yeah.
There's so many games out now. The other reason is I don't even have PlayStation Now. I don't have the Xbox Game Pass because it's hard enough for me to play these games that are coming out, let alone, tack on another several hundred on Game Pass or PS Now. I'm having enough trouble keeping up with the games that are coming out now, let alone additional games. If you guys know what I mean, it feels like I'm falling further and further and further and further back because I'm overwhelmed with just too many games.
yeah.
Too many games.
But let me ask you this, and getting that we're at 12:36.
Sorry, Peter. Peter's mad at me.
No.
I kept him up late.
No, I have found, and this is one of the reasons too that I'm so much more interested and excited for a smaller console like the Intellivision Amico. Boy, Tommy's getting such play out of us, man. But I don't know about you, but I have found myself now not as head over heels for all the new games. And maybe it's just because I'm wearing down on them, but I sit here and realized I played 2 Star Wars games and finished 2 Star Wars games in the last couple of months, and neither of them were Jedi Fallen Order. Neither. I've gone back and I've finished my King's Quest collection. I've gone back and I've played some of these older games that I feel like I've wanted to play, and then I've turned on my Saturn and I've turned on my Dreamcast and I've spent time playing those games, and I feel like Ghost of Tsushima is a game that I'm really looking forward to. But I said the same thing about Red Dead Redemption 2 because it was a Western. Because I love Western movies. I love the first, I didn't play the first Red Dead Redemption, but I love the first set of games like Call of Juarez and Gun and Juarez. And Gun and games like that. And I went into Red Dead Redemption 2 thinking I'm going to play a spaghetti Western, and I got bored of it. I'm finding myself more interested in the smaller, quicker, and even not that Force Unleashed and Jedi Academy were small games. They weren't, but they weren't. They were point A to point B games. They're more linear. They're not these crazy open world games. Like I have no desire. I thought I'd have a desire to play Death Stranding, and I don't. I thought I'd have a desire to play Days Gone, and I don't. And to be fair, I haven't. I kept going, maybe one of these days I'll turn State of Decay 2 back on. I haven't. All these games that come up that I go, I really want to play that. And then I don't. I bought Watch Dogs 2 and never even launched it. It's sitting on my X. Never even started it, and I paid $60 for it. And it just reminds me that maybe maybe my love of retro and what things like the Amico are going to do aren't necessarily because I'm just old and I pine for the old days and it makes me feel like a kid again. But maybe I'm starting to pine for the style of game that was back then.
Right.
The smaller, easier point A to point B, or I'll tell you a game I'm gonna play the hell out of, and is Streets of Rage 4. You know why? Because it's a beat 'em up, and I know exactly what I'm doing. I still go back, Peter. I still go back and play Raging Justice. I talked to Nick Macon. Wished him Happy New Year a couple days ago. We were talking in DM. They're coming out with it. They're actually developing a mobile version of Raging Justice, and I said, don't forget about those of us who are waiting for the online multiplayer. So I mean, that's where I'm sitting. I'm interested in getting it back to the basics, maybe.
Well, here's the thing, too, Michael. I mean, we've got the podcast here. All of us work, and it's not the fact that we're getting older. It's just I feel like the market is just saturated with games. We've got PlayStation Now with hundreds and hundreds of games. You've got Xbox Game Pass. Then you've got all the releases that come out. You got backwards compatibility that you've had for the Xbox for a while. Now there's talks about it for the PlayStation 5. So, I mean, there's only so many hours in a day. And I kind of agree with you. So, I mean, it's virtually impossible. If you're a responsible adult, there is no way that you can be popping these games and going through them. There's just too many of them. I mean, so I don't think, I mean, God, Mike, if you're old, then me and Peter are real old. So I don't think that we're old. I don't think that has anything to do with it. It's just there's so many other hours in a day. We're not 10 years old anymore.
True.
That
is true.
We all have responsibility. That's just too many games.
And every once in a while a game does, Frankie. Every once in a while a game does pop up that does take my attention and run with it. Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Gears 5. When Reach made it to the Master Chief Collection, I completely focused on it.
Right.
But again, Halo Reach, point A to point B, run through. God of War, to an extent, point A to point B with some little bits. Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, some little bit, but it really was story-driven, more linear than people give it credit for, and just...
then you throw multiplayer in the mix, and then you're really in trouble. Because then if you like Peter's Ghost Recon or my Call of Duty, or whatever we all play, then you get hooked on a multiplayer. Then you have to realize you're like, okay, well, I finished the campaign. I really love this multiplayer, but I've got 7 games coming out the next 2 months. What am I going to do? So then you're trying to figure out how to balance hundreds and hundreds of multiplayer hours.
Let me tell you about Destiny 2. It works. You want to play other games?
Wait, hold on. Let me do this because it's in tribute to you.
Aha! Sports ball. Let me tell you.
What's this all about? A sports ball?
Anytime he used to talk about sports and esports, I would just.
Yes. How about them Yankees? No, I mean, so
it is like you said though. You get invested in games like that, and even Rainbow Six Siege, Call of Duty.
You played, Frankie, not Overwatch, but the other one you were passionately in love with.
Battleborn.
Yes, Battleborn, Frankie. Yes.
Yeah, I got a couple hundred hours into that game.
He played that game until the server shut down.
I know.
They said
they're up for another year. It's
okay.
Fine.
They said you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
That's what they did. And now, this is the other part that pisses me off about games now is like once those servers are gone, that game is gone.
I thought Frankie was a sales rep for that game, actually.
Dude, he had in his old house, man. He had the Battleborn.
I still got it. He still got it. As soon as the game room's a thing, that's going right back up.
Yes.
Yeah, I gave you credit. I give you a lot of credit because we needled you for that for a long time, and you died on
I
that hill.
still love that game.
So, by the way, what's up, Big Blue Ravens? And I saw Stick Figure earlier. Thank you guys for jumping in. I cheated. I did tweet out we were having this great conversation. If you're missing it, you're missing out. But even at that, what did I decide to turn on the other day? And I've been playing it all week. Forza Horizon 4. That's been out for what, 2 years now?
Right.
Horizon 4, or was it last year? It's a game that, so it's a 2-year-old game. I just driving around. I don't know I don't know what's going on with me.
I think it's
whatever it is. I'm going through the same thing.
There's nothing wrong with you, Mike. It's just games galore right now.
Yeah, because I finished Jedi Fallen. I really loved it, and I think Mike, you like it. It's not a big open world game. It's linear. It's story driven. So it's up to you to decide. You want to go do some of these side stuff, but to me, they're not bad. It's good. But I mean, I've there's been times I'm in the mood where I'm just gonna chill out on the couch and play on the S. And so I played with my daughter, my oldest, during the holiday. I played Untitled Goose game.
Nice.
I loved it.
Hong Kong.
It's a small game.
What's that game about, Chris? What is that game about?
You're playing the goose that's going around annoying the shit out of people. But you have a list of things that you can do where, like, it tells you try to get the farmer to switch his hat, and it's like you really have to think about, wait a minute. So me and my daughter kept trying to. Well, we need to try to grab the hat on the door, but we couldn't get it down. So
I wonder if I could get the goose to get the farmer's daughter.
Yeah. It's just funny
Wow.
stuff. And then there's this one guy that he's kind of blind. So if you get him to drop his glasses,
Right.
and you sit there and you grab his glasses, and then he'll follow you. And so you can lead him into a phone booth, and then that's another objective, and then get him locked up in it. So I mean, I love playing a lot of these little games and just relax. And then here this weekend I'm going to start Witcher 3. So I mean, I get you, Mike, and anybody that sometimes you just get in the mode. It's like, I don't
that's
care.
the reason.
I don't give a shit about keeping up with the Joneses either. All these people talk about the latest, greatest games. Like, hey, that's fine. And then they're done in 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, and then they complain like, "Oh, there's nothing to play."
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
nothing to play.
So shut
In
up.
the meantime, there is still a boatload of people playing Rocket League.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know
I
why?
heard
It's the Intellivision thing. It's easy to pick up, fun to play.
Yep.
I mean,
And they're still supporting it. Like, they're still releasing new cars, new shit. So
Yep.
right, new skins, yeah.
Well, and look, Peter went back to Sea of Thieves.
Right.
that's because they finally
Yeah.
fixed the biggest problem that game had.
They got the PC bandits away from Peter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to jump back in there.
But Rare is not really advertising it. They're
No.
No.
They don't want to admit.
they're in bed with the PC streamers
Yeah.
and stuff. It's just
They
disgusting.
they don't want to admit. They don't want to admit that they made a mistake with that. That's what that is.
And then it's like, and then they recite numbers that are ways old and other stuff
Yeah.
like, not that many people are checking out that option. Well,
100%.
first of all, you didn't really advertise it, so unless
Yeah.
Right.
people read the Twitter net,
Right.
they might stumble
Then
upon
they'll
it.
take it. They'll take it back out like Snap and Connect.
Yeah. I don't know.
This is Mike.
I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter about Connect at all.
And
Not at all.
You know what? And then, like Mike talking about that, when Xbox, I get it that it upsets people, like it upsets you and others who use that stuff, but I don't. I didn't really use Snap. I enjoyed the Connect and all this stuff attached to my TV and all the features, and used it for a little bit, and then I stopped using it. And I think you're looking at this Series X that, okay, they don't have a HDMI in. because I'm sure they see the numbers out there. They see the majority of people out there, they're not using their Xboxes, hooking up to the TV and using all these features anymore. So why should they, put all that stuff in on the next consoles when they're not really being used?
I tell you what,
problem.
man. I put on my 1970 shorts, man. I got that Kinect out, put my leg warmers on. And I mean, there's nothing more fun than dancing to Lady Gaga or doing Soldier Boy, you know? Oh, you know?
I get it. I mean, the stuff was cool, but
Right.
unfortunately, the majority of people are not using that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
What I think happens,
well,
Aaron Greenberg watches the show and he's like, all right, if Mike likes this feature, nobody else is using it. It has to go.
Yeah.
Right.
I liked it too, though. I argued and I had people attack me. I liked the Kinect as well, though, and I used it a lot. I mean, like all the Kinect games, I bought them, even if they didn't get a good reception because I was trying to support the device. So I kind of hated to see it go. I thought there were other issues, not just the Kinect, that were an issue. So I kind of hated to see it go.
I only ever used the Kinect for one game, and it was D4. And
that was a good one.
felt like if there was a game that they were to go out there to push the Kinect, that was it. And it killed me that when that game came out, like was past the point where they were already trying to phase it out. Because like I said, like if they had been out there like, oh yeah, here's the Kinect, here's D4, like that would have made a case for that thing.
I bet you if they would have put the Kinect on let's say the Xbox Series X or the Xbox One X with the power right the first time, I don't think anybody would have complained about the Kinect though.
You know what though?
True.
It worked. Harmonix was in Microsoft's back pocket.
Right.
And there were games. Peter, remember Dead Rising 3?
Mm-hmm.
Made perfect use of Kinect. Perfect use of Kinect. You could use your hands to point to where you want your folks to go, or if you made a loud noise, if you coughed or something like that in the game, the zombies would come after you, would find you. There were so many cool. What destroyed Kinect was Microsoft got so scared because number one, they overpriced their console to the competition and didn't give people a reason to understand why Kinect was worth that extra money. Then they had to battle the whole, the Xbox is listening, which turned out to be true. This didn't help them. And so then the minute they uncoupled the Kinect from the console, that was the end. That was the end. The minute they said you don't have to have it for the console to work, it didn't matter if it was packed in the box or not, it was dead.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just heard Cortana apologize in the background when you called it out like that.
Yeah.
Man, I hope it wasn't listened. Well,
no, there was a
just like your Google devices and your Alexa.
Right. But there was a report that came out last year that said there were people at Microsoft that were listening to those conversations, that were listening to what you were saying on Kinect.
Like your Google devices and your Alexas and all that.
Yes, but Microsoft had a stigma that they had to get. Of course, you're not mad about it, Jeff. They had a stigma that they could not shake, and that's the difference. So,
they should have swallowed that cost.
Yep, I'm telling you, I will
at the same price as the PlayStation. Like, hey, look, but we got Kinect.
Exactly.
Nobody would have
said. They should have just sold it separately, right straight out of the gate.
Nope.
Why?
Because that would have failed.
That was that's
what doomed it.
Do you think so?
Yes. The minute that it was no longer a mandatory part of the console, developers said, "Well, I'm not doing anything for it anymore."
Well, they could have charged $399 though for the console instead of the $499. Is my point.
What they should have done was they should have charged $499. They should have charged the same price as the PS4, and they should have given you the damn Kinect and took the loss on it to get the software. Because
they could have done that too.
But that's the other hill I will always die on when it comes to Microsoft in 2013, is that if they sold the Xbox One for the same price as the PS4 and you got the Kinect, the whole fight about power and Ps and all that bullshit would have meant nothing.
Right.
They would have been in a much better position. They might have, maybe they still wouldn't be the market leader, but they would be a hell of a lot better off than they were, by doing what they did.
Well,
And
all of us here on this show and stuff, we're all gamers, and I love all you guys. We all know that it's not all about power. I mean, look what the Nintendo Switch has done. I mean, it's not just about power. So, I think you're right.
No, it's about the games.
When I saw the Xbox One reveal, I enjoyed it because I was like, hey, it's cool. I can use that with my TV, blah, blah.
Right.
Okay, cool. And, and then E3, they showed the games, cool. And then when it came out, I waited for I did agree it was expensive. That's why I waited for a Titanfall bundle. So I figured, hey, I'll get a game with a little bit more value. And, but overall, I enjoyed the Xbox One. It's not all about, for me, it's not about exclusives. Because I really don't, none of the games that came out launch, wasn't like, ooh, I got to play that. But I play everything, and I enjoyed third-party games on it. So, but the majority of the time, the one game that had the most hours in was Ark Survival. That was in game preview, and it had the shittiest lag ever. But I kept playing it because I had friends that were in it, and I enjoyed it. And I didn't give a shit that it was in 1080p, 60 frames.
Well, what's funny,
and I can agree with Dreadpool that I feel like what happened in 2013 and the carried on. Yeah, and Xbox, it's the management, the mismanagement, that's their fault. But I think people, made a bigger deal out of it and it just carried on and on. But hey, we're in a better place now going forward.
Oh yeah.
Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare was a hell of a game, though.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I like that game. Yeah.
That was a launch one, right?
That
was pretty
game.
damn close.
Frankie, did you play? Have you played the new one? Welcome to Plantsville.
No, I bought it, but I haven't played it yet.
When it comes to EA access, when it comes to the vault, I'll let you know. Yeah, we spent a lot of time on Plants vs. Zombies.
My God, I fell in love with that game. That was all I was playing until Titan. No, I got that after Titanfall.
I think yeah.
Oh God, I played a lot of Titanfall.
Yeah,
I played a ton of Titanfall.
Because Titanfall,
I played for over and over, and that one achievement to shoot the pilots that ejected, I got all the 1,000 gamer score on that. I played that for hours.
I binged on it because that was when the Xbox One came out. They had not achievements, but those like challenges. So there was one for Titanfall to get to level 50 and by the end of March or by the end of launch month or something. So I was on vacation. I just played Titanfall all week long. It's the only first-person shooter, I think, besides Bad Company 2 that I ever really got into like that. But yeah, once I got burned out on that, like that's all I played was Garden Warfare because that game is amazing.
Yeah, it was such a good game.
Totally worth the price. Like I had the Kinect and all that stuff, and the amount of time I got out of those two games alone, and Rise, and all the other games are playing, Killer Instinct. I was like, this console was totally worth it.
Yeah,
you know what? People are listening to us right now.
Yeah.
Just like
No. It is 1 a.m. It is 1 a.m. though, and it is.
Right. Peter looks pissed.
Peter's
when
bad.
People from Australia are waking up and they start listening to us. We've been on for a long time.
Yeah,
Peter, I'll buy you a $20 gift card or something.
That's so good. So good.
But hey, man, as usual, the great part is that this is what it's all about is having some great conversation. Everybody's got their feelings on these things, and people want to interact with us, which we love, but we do this the right way. We do this the way it should be done, with passion, with respect, and with a great deal of intelligence. And tonight has been a fantastic panel to have these discussions on. So I'm pleased as punch. I feel like a Bob's Big
Definitely,
Boy
I'm
burger.
glad Frankie. I'm glad you jumped in.
Yeah, man.
Been a long time.
It has been. And it's great to have you on again.
Yeah,
This
we
is
need
like
to do
a-
this more frequently, I think.
This is like it's like a class reunion.
Frankie,
Yeah.
I've never seen you with your beard on, so I've never seen you before. So now
No,
you'll
huh?
have to grow the beard out
Really?
for me. Yeah.
I wish I could. I really wish I could.
I know. You do look different without the
Get a
beard.
little Fu Manchu going on, or a little goatee. Yeah.
Won't they even? They won't even let you have a foo.
No.
Like, couldn't they? Couldn't you,
You
just
can
get
have-
like a soul
you can-
patch?
You can have like a 70s style porn star mustache, but that's it.
Oh, those are nice. Yeah.
Reminds me of the.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there it is, big boy.
That's the Pokestop.
Mutton chops, my lord. All right.
I did that before. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was back in. Geez, what year was that? I was Lemmy for Halloween. It was when Guitar Hero 5 came out because I had that guitar as part of my costume. But yeah, I had the mutton chops
Yeah.
for a couple weeks.
So,
Like, these are cool. I'm keeping this.
Yeah.
You get
All
some
right.
weird looks when you have weird facial hair.
Sure. They put your
Yeah.
picture on the wall. So, all right. So before we call this a night, anybody have anything else of prominence that we've got to go over?
I just want to thank you guys again. Frankie, it's been awesome having you in here and talking to you the first time. Peter, Chris, Mike, as always. I love chatting with you guys.
Yeah.
I wouldn't miss this for the world. You guys are like becoming very, very close friends, and I love all you guys. So it's an honor to be on here with you guys.
Oh, it's great to have you back, man. It's been wonderful. It just adds another great level of passion and intelligent discussion to what we do. I mean, this is how many years of experience do we have in this room right now? I mean, it's over 100 years of gaming experience sitting right here. I mean, that is insane. Let's see, 4, 8, 12. It's almost 200 years, almost two centennial of gaming experience. I mean, that is, you don't get that anywhere else. Sorry, I'm tooting my own horn. I'm
Spawning
tooting the
two
NLG.
continents.
Yes, spawning 2 continents. So, all right, De Niro, let's not get too crazy. So real quick,
That's just Mike's number.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's mine alone. So
It's like the Titanic, 84
Yeah.
years ago.
yes. So yeah, real quick, thoughts and prayers out to Carlo, Italian Clowns. His wife is still dealing with some serious medical issues as a result of a car accident she was in a few weeks ago. There is a GoFundMe. And unfortunately, sorry, Stick, the YouTube doesn't let you put the link in, but if I'm assuming you have it on your Twitter feed, but keep Carlo and his wife and his family in your thoughts and prayers, everyone. So again, Frankie, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you back soon. Gentlemen, Peter, John, Chris, another great show in the books. I guess next week it's going to be a slow week, I'm sure, for news. So next week we'll get our retro show in, unless, and I'm waiting. It's not confirmed yet, but I may have another surprise for everybody. If it doesn't happen next week, it'll happen sometime in February. And we have a couple people that have asked us when they can come on, and so we may have some guests coming in on in February. So stay tuned for that.
All right.
So
I got one thing real quick because I did mention it on Twitter. So one thing that I'm going to start doing is announcing that my gamer of the month. Just someone that I either follow on Twitter or YouTube, whatever podcast, and I just see a lot of positive things coming from that stands out to me. So my game of the month for January is D Black Raven. I follow him on Twitter, and I've seen a lot. He's always tweeting games. Like he taught he's Pillars of Eternity, and I downloaded that and I actually played a little bit of that earlier during the week. He was talking about Children of Morta, I think.
Is that an Obsidian
Wait, he's talking
game?
about which one? Oh,
Pillars?
yeah, Pillars of Eternity.
That was
Oh no,
Obsidian?
that's In Exile, isn't it?
Okay. I thought it was
In
one of
Exile
them.
is yeah, and but he's always talking about different games, whether it's from a smaller game like Pillars. He was just talking about Wasteland, how he's excited for that. He's always posting positive stuff, mainly about gaming. And so I just wanted to give him a shout out, the Black Raven. And so I'm gonna give him a DM and give him a little $10 gift card. And so I'm gonna try to do this every month. So
Awesome.
And nothing against anybody that was in chat. It would just like that was the first thing that came to my mind,
100%
right?
against everybody in chat. You're all the worst.
But and then a quick shout out to Stick Figure in Australia.
Yeah, man. I mean, seriously.
Prayers out to everything that's going on over there. I think just recently we lost 3 U.S. Firefighters.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's crazy, sad, and all the animals.
Yeah,
So, prayers out.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
and it's great. And the great part about it, a guy like Stick, is he's worried about someone else. He's worried about Clowns. Clowns' his wife. His country is literally on fire, and he's worried about other people. These everybody in the chat room. We love you so much. I mean, Dinero, Dread, Jeff. I know Coop probably went to sleep. But I talked about Invader earlier. Big Lou Ravens was in tonight. I'm trying to think who else was in there tonight that I'm missing.
Later.
Niall was in there for as long as he could probably stay up.
Yeah, Nate,
Nate,
Siberia
was in
Crispy
for a bit.
Bomb.
Crispy, Jago, Z Black, who was listening. Monkey Punch was in for a bit. I mean,
Mr. Crab Dab.
Guys, I don't mean to interrupt.
Mr. Hyperion.
I got to go to the bathroom. I drank 6 bottles of water. I'll be right back.
Old school gamers.
Old school, but great gamers. So, all right. Well, we're gonna
that Luigi hat next time.
Yes. Oh, yes. All right. So we're gonna get on out of here, and hopefully, we'll put together a nice retro show next week if we don't have a special guest that I'm working on.
We'll probably still talk about retro with a special guest, maybe. But
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Teaser.
Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. This guy's a little harder to get. Where Tommy said, "Yeah, let's do it." This guy's a little bit tougher to get. So if I can get him, I'll be happy. So that's all I can say at the moment. So anyway, we'll get on out of here by the time we're. Oh, there he is.
How
Damn.
did you piss that fast?
Oh, man. Jeez.
Some of us have an ability.
Bottles of water.
Damn,
Jeez.
you're gonna be
Open
up
the front door and piss outside?
I'm getting too old for this. I'm going to have to get me a next level gaming diaper and just go where I'm sitting. That way I don't have to get up and move.
God.
I can change it later, right?
That's how Mike does this. That's his secret.
It depends.
Podcast all like 6 hours long.
Jesus. All right, guys.
Is that the next advertisement?
I think so. Oh no.
I
Chris is right. It depends because we depend on it.
Oh my God! What
Yeah, that
the
will be your
hell?
next product of the week.
Don't.
Right.
He'll do it.
Yeah, I know.
So
He's
all right,
right.
yeah, he is. So well, for all of us here at NLG and Bob's Big Boy, you guys, everybody have a great week. We'll see
And
you
we're
guys.
hungry.
Now we're hungry. Hey, Taco Bell is still open.
Oh, that's right.
Goes in and goes straight back out. Nothing.
Yeah. Well, that's where the depends come in,
Hey, there we go.
Oh shit!
Number
All right.
2.
Oh shit! All right, that's it, guys. We got to get out of here. We're getting punch drunk. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you guys next Thursday at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Play on,
9:47.
9:47. Well, it depends if John can update his Skype.
You're gonna have to add me back to the intro video now.
I know, but I'm not gonna spell your name wrong.
Yeah, you have to though. If it's spelled right, I'm gonna be suspicious.
Did I add you to the end of this one? I did not yet. I gotta add you to the outro